Hi, hello everyone. We
Hello,
are
everyone.
live. We made it.
We're here. I know you were all
Yes.
very concerned. Will we be late? Will we not be late in my chat? We're here. We're fine.
We are
It's fine.
across multiple platforms as always when we do this these days. So you can join me on my channel, you can join Amanda on hers or on Twitch, wherever you feel like watching. And we're just going to hang out on this Friday and chat some comics and life stuff and just whatever because it's been quite a busy week. We were just
Yeah,
talking beforehand. We didn't read quite as many comics as we
as normally.
usually do.
Yeah, it's been holidays. What's that
Yes.
about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I was told, like Kevin leaned over and he was like, want to hear something? It's less than a month till Christmas. And I was like, I don't want to hear that,
Don't
actually.
tell me that. What? Why? Why did he whisper it at you
I
like it
know,
was
let's
some
make it like
sort of
extra
beautiful
ominous.
secret? Like, guess what?
Like we're in the mafia
I'm
or
not
something.
sure. I'm not sure that's supposed to be like a cute romantic play where someone's like, "Guess what? It's almost Christmas." But you're like, "That just sounds menacing and I don't like it."
Oh,
Oh, but it's true. It's true. We are so close. And I'm actually starting to feel festive. I just did a reaction to
ooh.
the Doctor Who Christmas special trailer
Ah,
before we jumped
nice.
on this live.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was pretty nice. Also, you guys can't hear my rain sounds, can you? I just realized I have rain sounds playing. No one can hear that, right? No, I don't think so.
No, like you've been keeping me up to date on all the trailers when I go into a cave and I'll just pop up and be like Lilo and Stitch live action trailer.
Lilo and Stitch live action trailer. And I love that we were both talking the other day about Dynamite Disney
Yes.
because they have Lilo and Stitch and they're doing
And it's
such a
really
good job.
cute
It's
and
so
really fun. I really
it's
like that
so
one.
good. It's like I think my favorite one. Also, I'm just gonna powder my face really quick. I hope y'all don't mind. This is how you know it's casual.
I
Keeping it
love the
casual.
mermaid brush. I have Joker brushes, but like I rarely brush them.
Oh my goodness. You need to have a Joker brush so that when you're on live if you want to you don't need to powder. You don't get shiny like I do. You're very nice and matte, but if you ever want to have a powder moment, you could just pull out the brush and be like, "Sorry guys, give me a second." All right, back to what we're talking about. Hello DJ Knight. How's it going? Hello Critter Nation. Hello
Psycho
everyone.
Jet Black, thank you very much for starting off asking us which superheroes have the best hairstyles, the best superhero hair. I'm always going to be biased towards the wig life, people sporting wigs all the time, Black Canary wig.
Who is the best hair? I mean, there's a lot of great people with great hair.
Let's get controversial, absolute Superman. Because I remember people were arguing about his hair.
Oh, people didn't like his hair?
Some people didn't
I
like the
love
kind of
his
like
hair.
swoop.
I think he's got good hair. I would put him on the good hair list personally. But I mean, a lot of people have great hair. I think Starfire has the best hair.
Ooh, she has really fun hair,
Really
especially when you
good
get into
hair.
the era where it's like doing the ombre thing all
Yeah.
the way down.
I'm also partial to Mary Jane's hair.
Mm.
Also, just kind of this is also just kind of hair of an era, I guess. But I think that when they both have the big curly hair, I love that
Hmm.
hair. Rogue has great hair. Her hair is weird and iconic, so I love
I'm
that.
like a fan of some hairstyles that people don't like the Dick Grayson ponytail is something that
Yes.
I'm here for.
It's a vibe, it's a look. I really like a long hair Superman actually, and I think that's maybe why I like Absolute Superman. It's not like full long hair. It could be longer, but it's like a nice shag.
Yeah, like the recovery suit Superman era. Like not quite the
Mhm.
mullet, but just like he when he was recovering.
Yeah. Oh, who is the best facial hair?
Oh, like
Bef-
beards or
yeah.
mustaches? Because we gotta
Yeah.
include all of it. I like the Tony Stark. I do. I'm partial to the
Like
Tony
the
Stark.
Tony Stark.
We're just gonna name it
Interesting.
after him.
I always feel like Uptown Duck, Dylan has
Mhm.
like kind of a Tony Stark thing
Yeah,
going
I've
on.
seen him do that sometimes.
Yeah, I'm like you I was saying to him, I was like we should really do a cosplay where like you're Iron Man and I'm Chris. Thank you so much for resubscribing. Happy 38 months. Oh my goodness, it's so long. Thank you so much. Hey, Chris says, "Hey Amanda, hey everybody." I don't know if this comes up. I don't think I can see this in here to pull you up, but hello. I see you here and I appreciate you. Also, Rapala, congrats on the 45 stream streak, and Critter Nation, congrats on the 3 stream streak. But yeah, I was saying to him that he should be Iron Man and I should be Captain America. And I was like, that would be great. And
That
he
would
was
be, and
like,
you could be like from that one universe where they were married.
yeah, the one universe where they're married. I would love that. Oh, but then he has to be, would he be female? We could just also do a gender bend to that, actually. We could do that universe, but what if Captain America's the woman?
Exactly. You could just go, you know, and then it's gonna be really obscure, and you'll really test people's knowledge.
We'll be like, this is really obscure because it's inspired by an alternate universe version
and
of these characters, but we still swapped it, so it's really niche. But yeah, he was like, but why are you Cap? You feel like you look more like Cap than I do? And I was like, well, no, just you look way more like Tony. I don't look like either of them. I don't think. I don't know. I think I got more Cap energy than Tony energy, though.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
What side were you on in Civil War?
Like in the comic or in the movie?
In the comic.
In the comic, I was on the side of everybody's being written out of character, and this is frustrating me very much.
So in the comic, you were on no one's side. You were like, all of this sounds crazy.
I was on no one's side. It was one of those things where, like, I was enjoying it. Like, I enjoyed reading it. But at the same time, I was like, nobody is acting like themselves at the moment.
Nobody is acting like themselves at the moment. Oh, my goodness.
What about you? Did you have a side?
Yeah, I'm on Cap's side.
You're Team Cap?
I'm Team Cap. I see what you say, though, with people maybe being written out of context. Or, you know, just not quite in line.
It was one of those events where it was like everybody had to like kind of fall in, especially as someone who like I came to it because I was reading Deadpool and Cable. And then it was all of a sudden like, well, now they're divorced because like this happened. And I'm like, I am very salty about that.
Has Deadpool and Cable ever had like good tie-ins to anything?
It usually kind of throws them off.
It really disrupts that it really disrupts their flow anytime there's a tie-in. I'm like,
the one that's
I want them to have an event that disrupts everyone else. I think that's the only fair way.
House of M was kind of okay because then you got the DH to a baby Cable one where like
but that doesn't even fit in with House of M. It's that's such a weird tie-in. I just read that one recently in our comic book club over on OF, and it was like, I was like, guys, what did we just read? Like, this is so in the middle of a different story where they were like, I don't know, we're going to go and do a weird House of M thing now.
And they're like, what can we do that like will not really impact what we're doing, but like pay like lip service to House of M?
But also be like as weird as possible because still fitting in with our line of what we're doing. But I was like, it just is such a strange issue. I do love the idea of Mr. Sinister as, you know, a nanny, though. I think that's amazing, and I think we need more of that, actually. Dichotic, thank you for the highlighted comment. Dichotic said, can I pull it up here? Maybe I can.
If I could see it, I could pull it up, but I don't think I can see it.
Can you not see Twitch? Oh, I can see it.
Oh, I see it. Here we go. Is it this one?
When you consider that Superman.
Is it this one?
Oh, no. Wait, this one. Can I star things?
You don't have the power.
Oh, I have no power. 941 is the time code.
Okay.
If you scroll up to 941, you'll see it.
But Dichotic, I have the power of the mainstream.
The mainstream. Yeah, Sasha. We use Sasha's StreamYard, so
there you go.
When you consider that Superman has to do his own barbering with heat vision and a reflective piece of Kryptonian spaceship, he has magnificent hair. That is very true. You have to think that he is his own barber. That
takes a special skill set. That not everybody has.
Is that like a secret superpower that Superman has?
If this was the Silver Age, they definitely count that as a superpower. They'd call it like super barbery or something.
Super barber. He's a super barber. He could barber around circles around anyone else. Mage, thank you for the highlighted comment. Mage says, thank you to Casually Comics. We need a DC omnibus, flatline, punchline, white rabbit, triple omnibus with their comics.
Yeah, there'll be at least one sale, and that's me.
Yeah. I mean, you might be able to recruit some other people, I feel like, from the community. I feel like people from your community would be into it. I feel like people from my community would be into it.
I haven't Mage is in a while.
Jagron. Sorry, that was Jagron, not Mage. I can't read when the text is blue. I'm sorry.
Oh, Humongous is asking Sasha exclamation marks. Can you tell us anything more about your Scott Snyder Hangout interview? Anything you guys talked about them? Pretty much everything
Ooh.
made it in. Like pretty much our internet cut out for like a few seconds, so that didn't make it in. That happens pretty much every time, but pretty
Right.
much everything that
You
what
didn't
you
really
saw was in
edit.
there.
You didn't
No,
really
I
edit
don't really
anything out.
need like I don't normally have to edit too much of those often.
Yeah.
So that is a good thing. I did post an interview with Scott Snyder today, so if you missed that, you can go check it out. We talked about like writing and breaking into the industry and a bunch of really interesting things. That was a lot of fun.
That sounds so fun. I just did like one of my first interviews that is like just an interview. I mean, I did an interview actually with Joe Quesada when I was at SDCC this year, but that's in one of my vlogs. Honestly, I should also like cut that and turn it into its own
You
video.
should put it like a separate, thing.
Yeah, I wanted to do that after, but then it just ended up being all in the vlog, and I don't even think I have to send that actually. I have to send that to Mad Cave. But anyways, this is me making mental notes in stream for myself later.
You got to remember.
I just did one with Jeff Parker from Dynamite, which will be coming up soon, and we
Yes, he's writing Zootopia.
Zootopia. This brings us back around to Dynamite Disney. Look at us go. Zootopia is going to be coming out in January with Dynamite, and I'm really excited. And
that
we
one
had,
looks
like,
really fun.
Such a good chat. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time.
When do you think you'll be posting that?
Probably close. I'm probably gonna try to put it up like close to January, like maybe near the end of the month, just so that way it's like
synergy
right before, yeah, so people can get hyped and add it to have a bit of time to add it to their poll, and then when it comes out, then maybe we'll do another video. I was saying I want to do a video where I just go through like all of the Dynamite Disney and kind of just talk about like the different series and why I'm loving it and why you should read it, honestly, if you like Disney and you like comics.
Yeah, because they have a lot of fun stuff going on. Like we were already talking about Lilo and Stitch. I like the Hercules one too. Like I think that one's fun. Like their Darkwing's starting up again soon, so that'll be fun too.
Oh, Jagron is asking if we're liking the Absolute Universe so far.
Time code me. Oh, there we go. I see it.
Oh yeah.
There we go. With this, the darker's in quotation marks here. With this darker take, do you think it can match Marvel's Ultimate Universe 2.0 success it had most of 2024?
Well, you know what the most do you know what the highest the most sold comic, the comic that's made the most money, I think actually is the actual statistic this year is?
Isn't it Ultimate Spider-Man?
No.
Is it Batman?
Absolute Batman issue
because like
one.
I know that they're like some people
even though
like,
it came out late.
I know some of them are arguing that like about which one it actually is. There's some like jockeying for like position. I'm like they're both doing great. Like
I mean, that sounds like a classic comic conversation of just like it's this one and then the other side like Marvel or DC is like, well, wait a minute, let's check the stats. No, I heard it was Absolute Batman, but I wouldn't be surprised if people are saying that, you know, it's Ultimate Spider-Man, but I think based on what I've seen in shops that it probably is Absolute Batman, because I think the Absolute Universe is getting people to come to comics in a way.
Well, I think what it's also doing is it's spreading out more
Ultimate has
than the Ultimate Universe. Like people are more likely, I feel like, to branch out to the others of the Trinity than I've seen.
It's like making headlines. Like Ultimate is amazing too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this like I don't like Ultimate. I'm just saying like Ultimate hasn't become a sensation like, you know, Absolute has, is what I would say. Absolute is like it, and you can see it when we were all making videos about it. Like, it was just viral on another level in comparison to Ultimate. So,
and I feel like some of that stuff like continuing in a decent way. Like the interest is maintaining. Like the fall off from 1 to 2 to 3 is not as steep as you sometimes, see with some other things.
I feel like with Ultimate, everyone's just been like getting more people have just been coming in too. So I feel like Ultimate has also been very good for sustaining over on Marvel side and for also gaining people over time. So that's good to see. But I just think like, yeah, like people that never even read comics are like, I gotta read this Absolute Batman, I think. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like
I've had people asking me in my life, they're like, I heard about this Absolute Batman. And I'm like, where did you hear about that? Like, on my channel, and they were like, just everyone's been, you were talking about it, but like everyone's been talking about it, and I'm like, maybe I need to read it, and I'm like, you've never read a comic, and they're like, I know, but maybe this is where I start.
And that's when you go in, you're like, yes, you do.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm like, I have a copy, you could borrow my copy if you want to read one.
I saw we were sending our thumbnails to each other earlier. I saw you
Yes.
put like a big absolute Wonder Woman in the back of yours.
I know. I got you, suckers. We're not even talking about Absolute Wonder Woman yet. No, I put okay, well, so I don't make my thumbs, but it was one of the comics that I suggested that could be put in there for what we use. And because I know it's a comic we've both read.
Yes.
Also, Dante, congrats on the 7-stream streak, and Duncan Mallory, congrats on the 10-stream streak. Thanks for streaking, y'all. But yeah, I feel like it's we got issue 2. I just read it, actually. As we've been saying, I really have not read a lot of comics this week. I've been reading a lot of One Piece, though, and watching a lot of things. Anime, Skeleton Crew. Have you watched Skeleton Crew?
No, like I was telling you earlier,
really
like I finally made time to finish off Arcane and I felt accomplished. I was like, yeah, finished a mainstream
proud of you.
thing.
I'm proud of you. But now your next assignment from me, you should go watch Skeleton Crew.
I thought
you should watch it with the whole family.
I thought my next assignment was Dune Prophecy.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, that's... I do want you to watch Dune Prophecy so we can talk about it, because I really want your thoughts on it. I've been talking to a few people about it, and I've been doing videos on it on my channel. I still have to do episode 3. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I watched it, and I do have thoughts about it. But I don't have... I think you're like one of the most knowledgeable Dune people in my life. I think you know the most. So I really want to talk to you about it, because you have like the knowledge.
You want to pick my Dune brain?
Yeah, and I want to hear your, like, because I'm coming at it from kind of a different perspective, because I've only read the first book and then watched the other movies that we've had up to this point. So although I do want to go in and read Messiah, I'm just trying to decide if I want to read Messiah before the next movie comes out, or if I want to, should I wait?
I mean, I'm always like, you know, like a Pinky's Out snob, like read the book first.
Read the book first. But yes.
And also Messiah's not very long. So
it's not very long. Okay. Well, maybe I will.
Like comparatively.
I just feel like I am going to then watch this is my problem when I read the book, is I will overanalyze the movie based on the book. And then people are always like, well, you can't compare it to the book. And I'm like, you definitely should and can, actually. I think. I hate when people say that. I'm like, what do you mean you can't compare it to the book? The book is the only reason we have it. We should still compare it. We can still compare it. It doesn't have to be the same, though. I think that's fine.
No, for sure.
But yes, that was a very long tangent. But we have Absolute Wonder Woman. And
yes, I actually filmed and cut a video for it today. So I probably, realistically, because it's the weekend, I should have the video up for Sunday.
Nice.
Like for it. So I definitely had stuff to say. I wasn't sure if it was going to end up being like a roundup type thing where I combined it with Absolute Superman, or if I was just going to talk about it by itself. But then finishing, I was like, no, I think I have enough that I want to put it by itself and give it its own thing, like I did with Absolute Batman #2 as well.
Yeah.
So
I feel like there's enough here that I would do a video on this, but I feel like, I don't know, I still haven't done a video on Absolute Batman 2. It's hard because then when you start with issue 1, it's like, do I do one now for every issue? Because that's a lot of videos.
Yeah, I know, right?
But then I'm like, I just feel like when you feel the moment is right, that's like the best time to do a video. But in terms of the algorithm, the best time to do a video is for every single one, because it builds consistency. So that's where I'm like, but I was like, I think Absolute Wonder Woman will be the one where I'm going to try to do one for each issue. I'm going to do my best for you guys. There is a lot to talk about, and some of the things that you mentioned in your video for issue #1 and that we talked about in regards to that, I see more in this
issue 2
as like, yeah, I don't know about that. However, it's still only issue 2. Now, I know I said that with issue 1.
I said the same thing in mine. What's funny is that there were elements I enjoyed more in 2 than in 1, because 2 minimized some of the things I didn't like from 1.
Well, I think this is a bit more of an expand, which I think is good. And I think a lot of the a lot of the sort of establishing of like this character in this world and Diana's tone and all of that feels very good to me. Like
Yes.
it feels right, but it also feels like a little too samey was my only like issue with it. Like to Prime Earth.
Yeah, like for a for a spoiler, I suppose, for the video I will post, but it won't be surprising because I'm going to say it there anyway. It's just that it's very much leaning into the idea of maintaining her to the point where her environment doesn't impact her.
Yeah.
So like lots of times, especially like when Steve showed up, and I was just kind of like, I
is pretty
watched The Little
crazy.
Mermaid too. But
Yeah, everyone's weirdly like, "Oh, yeah, all right." I'm like, "All right? Is it all right?"
how do you feel about
that?
Absolute Steve? People have thoughts. I posted some pictures of him in my community tab, and people were like, Steve Trevor.
Why do people hate Steve Trevor? Or do they hate absolute Steve Trevor? What is
They
that?
just feel like, in general, my audience tends to feel that Steve is pretty bland, a bland milk toast of a man. And so,
Yeah, I'm not a big Steve Trevor fan myself. I personally wish that he didn't exist in this universe.
well, I mean, you got that in the. Oh, I was gonna say you got that in the main line.
in the main line, my wishes came true, but then they made me feel sad about it in the main line. They were like, now he's gone. And I was like, well, now I kind of miss him. What are you doing to me, Tom King? Stop that. I don't like that. Curse you, Tom King. So, but it is true. They gave me what I wanted, and then they made me say, now you have what you wanted. Sometimes we regret those things. And I was like, yeah, it's true.
Be careful
This,
what you
though,
wish for.
I would throw him away into the fire, I say. We don't
That's
need him.
slightly harsh.
Well, I mean, we haven't really got to know him yet, to be fair. I feel like we've only really gotten a little bit of Steve and who he is in this world here. He just seems like a pretty level-headed military guy.
He seems like a regular guy, pretty much. Some people, when I posted the snippets, they felt, because the art is very much accenting that Diana is bigger and taller than most people. And so because of that, some people felt that it made Steve look more feminine by comparison, like stereotypically feminine. And so
Oh.
some people thought that they had gender swapped, and then they were disappointed when it didn't happen. And I'm like, no,
No.
things are more the same than that. They're fairly similar.
But
He's still Steve.
that would have been really cool. I would have really liked that if Steve was like a lady undercover in the military.
Well, yeah, some people in the chat were just saying, they're like, what if Steve was Stephanie? So
I would actually love Stephanie Trevor better than Steve Trevor, probably. I've also been a big believer of the fact that Diana being on an island full of women for, her whole life, I was like, first loves and such. Sounds pretty gay. And I personally think that I wish there were just more gay Diana stories, but there are a few. We do have a few of them. But for the most part, Diana tends to read pretty straight.
I've always bought her attraction to like Steve Trevor, like off the bat, especially because he is so different and like someone so like quote unquote exotic, to use a slightly problematic like term.
Yeah.
But at the same time, then the story is oftentimes Steve ends up being a little bland. Like this isn't the first time they've killed him off in the main continuity. Like they did it during the mod Diana era too. So every now and again, they'll just be like, what if we killed Steve?
And then they do it to try to make us, be like, oh, maybe I like that normal bland guy.
There's room for Steve. And sometimes
works.
the Silver Age, like especially the Robert Kanigher outings, it gets wild and then he's just fighting a gorilla. And that happens more often than once. So
Jagron had a highlighted comment. Oh, it doesn't give me a time code.
Was it the Tom King one?
No, there's one where he said, where they said, as of right now, there is almost zero way the book can end up being similar to Dune Messiah book. Oh,
well, they would have to do. I know what you're talking about exactly.
Yeah. That's what I feel. Well, based on what I know, I haven't read Dune Messiah,
yeah,
but I know Dune Messiah.
They would have to alter some things in order to make it fit.
It ended. I was like, what just happened? When we watched the second part, I was like, huh? that was me at the end.
It's one of those things where like I actually really like Messiah and some of the things that it's working through, especially as it pertains to like Chani and Irulan and stuff. So like, but the way they've set it up, it would be very difficult to do that dynamic right now. So I am curious to see what they would do with it. Because I actually think it's really, really interesting. And I would love to see it presented. But because of the way it's written, I worry that some people would just write it off as, problematic and not actually engage with it, when I think it's actually a really interesting storyline. I see some people just be like, I like Steve. I leave Steve alone.
I like Steve. Don't throw him in the fire, Amanda. Don't do it. Yeah, that's fine. You guys can like Steve. You can have him. He's all yours.
I don't mind Steve. Like, I'm okay with Steve.
It depends on how he's written, is how I feel about it. I mean, I would say in this, he's fine. I don't actively want to toss him into the fire in Absolute Wonder Woman, but like if he fell into a fire accidentally at this point, I wouldn't be like if Diana was like, "Oh no, I can't save Steve," I wouldn't be like beat up about it. I wouldn't be like, "Oh no, not Steve." I'd be like, "Oh, that's fine. There he goes." Maybe there'll be someone else in this comic for Diana, or maybe what if Diana just wasn't with anyone? I think that's also a good story.
I liked like the way that the Steve moments gave Sherman an opportunity to play with some of those little emotional touches of her face and stuff.
I liked that too. I think it's cute what they're doing. I think it's cute. I want to see more from Steve. I want more personality from him. But it's the first issue that he's introduced, so. And he's not the type of guy that's going to be like, look, here is how it is. So I think they did a good job with him. I didn't have any problems with him per se, other than my normal Steve Trevor gripes. But that's also just, I think, a bit of an acquired, Steve Trevor isn't for everyone, maybe. And that's okay. That's all right. We don't all have to be mega fans.
You've got to contain yourself. Like when I talk about Ollie.
Oh yeah, when we talk about Ollie, and I was like, why do we care about Ollie?
Actually,
sorry, am I triggering you, people in chat? I'm sorry, chat.
Actually, all in Green Arrow is pretty solid. So
yeah. Chemdog said, unfortunately, no yeets in issue 2. Yes,
there were no yeets. Yeah.
Chris was also asking, Chris Esch was asking if we had seen Creature Commandos.
I have not.
I have not. I want to. I'm in Canada and I cannot see anything. We don't have means. I don't know where I'm going to find it. I need to figure it out. I think maybe I could get it through Amazon Prime if I get like a special channel, because it's not on Crave. So
you gotta yo-ho it.
I gotta maybe do some VPN voodoo or something. Maybe then I can access it. But yeah, I was worried that was going to be a problem. Anytime they do anything that's DC animated, I'm like, is this going to be a problem? And then it's like, yes. If it's tied to HBO in any way, it's like, yes, it will be a problem for you.
Yeah, because they've split the stuff off. But in all honesty, there's so much to watch right now anyway that it's kind of like.
But I know, but I gotta watch them all.
You're the Pokemon master of DC shows and just various nerdy shows.
Within the DCU, yeah. Not anywhere else. People always come in and they're like, Amanda, have you watched this DC animated movie or this DC animated series? Have you watched Young Justice, Amanda? I'm like, no, I haven't. But I would like to.
You should watch Young Justice.
I know. I was saying, okay, someone made the suggestion. Who made the suggestion? If you made the suggestion, put your hand up. Someone said that Sasha and I should do a Batman, the animated series reaction. And I was like, honestly, I feel like that would be so fun.
It would be a lot of fun. Because you haven't seen that much of it, right?
No, I haven't. I don't know if we split that content up between our channels and make people ping pong and then we could have a joint playlist, or honestly, we could probably just have a whole reaction channel together if we ever wanted to just react to nerdy stuff together. People would probably be super into that.
I'm just having flashbacks to like both of our times on reaction channels. I'm just envisioning the thumbnails.
Oh yeah. I mean we could make, but that's the thing. We have the knowledge, Sasha. We can make the crazy thumbnails. We'd be like, We'll be making all these crazy faces, yeah. Although I will say, you know what I do for my reactions is I actually do, not all the time, because I have a folder that has like a million pictures of my face. And I don't always take new thumbs, but when I do take new thumbs for reaction content, I literally go through and watch my video and I'll pause it. And then what I do is on one side, I have my video like over here or over here. And on the other side is my camera. And I literally try to match my face like one for one with the reaction. So if you guys ever see my thumbs, for most of my reaction videos, those are faces that that I'm either making in that video or that I have made in some reaction video. I try to take real pics when I can so that it's not false advertising. So you don't, see someone that's like breaking down emotionally and then you watch the video and like that never happens in the video. They're just doing it to get you to click. I hate that.
I at least try to be wearing the same outfit when I can. I'm like, that's my one thing. But usually
that's
they're
so
like
impressive, actually, though, because it's not like I try to do that, but it's not easy to do that. You do it a lot. Like you're very good at it.
It's like what I'll do is if I know I'm going to, then I'll be like, okay, at the end of the video, remember, pose for like pictures of things. And then I'll usually just try and pick like different emotions. Like I sent you, they were all labeled like emotion 1, emotion 2, emotion 3.
Emotion 1, emotion 2. So the many emotions of Casually Comics.
Although they were pretty similar. Some of them I felt like as I was studying them, I was like, I should really put this as like 3.5. Or
you didn't use this one, but my favorite one, where is it? Let me scroll back in our chat here. My favorite one that you sent is the one that you were like,
oh yeah, like the like
that
kissy face
so
one.
Good. I was really hoping that when I had my thumb made that was the one that was going to get picked, but sadly
they looked and they were like, nah, this isn't the vibe.
That's not the one. And I should have requested it. I should have been like, use the kissy face. It's the best one. Lumix, thank you for the highlighted comment. I did not eat my chocolate. I was playing Marvel Rivals the other night and I have Mr. Beast chocolate.
How is that? I've never eaten a Feastable.
I'm gonna do a reaction video to it. I don't know how long it might end up being a short. I don't know how much I'll have to say about this chocolate. But I have dark chocolate and milk chocolate. So I was gonna film. I really wanted to eat the chocolate bars last night, and I was like, all I have is this Mr. Beast chocolate, but this is for content. So I said, what if we pause our Marvel Rivals game and chat, you can be here for it, and I'll record it on stream, and then I can just send it to my editor and we can cut it. But I was also in my Scarlet Witch cosplay. So I was like, I don't know if that's weird, but I was like, I think for me it's not. So I think I'll just start the video and acknowledge, yeah, I'm in a Scarlet Witch cosplay. We're playing Marvel Rivals right now, but we have to take a break because I got to review this chocolate. And then I just go into it. But my recording was lagging. My computer was not pleased with the fact that I had Marvel Rivals open. I'm streaming.
It was
I'm
too
doing
much.
all this. And then I also want to record within that. They were like, yeah, how about we don't do that? So I didn't do it, Lumix, but I still have it. Lumix is asking, casually, is that your actual hair or wig? Because that look is great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It is a wig. Most of the time when I'm on stream, it's a wig. Or in videos, it's also, but like sometimes it's not. And that's the game that you get to play. When is it not?
I wasn't even sure. I was like, I don't know, because I feel like it could be your hair. I could see it like being your hair. But then I was like, I don't know what color Sasha's hair is right now, is what I thought to myself, because I usually see you in a wig. So
yeah, I know, because like when like we worked at the same place, it was still at the time when I was dyeing my hair a lot, so it would like lots of times be actually different colors. I think I had it this color at one point, but
yeah, I think you did. I feel like the one thing I feel like now, do you find that now when you're making your like own content and everything, that you feel more free with your wardrobe choices? Because this is something I have felt since like going like independent. That I
do. I do.
Personally.
Like I really do. I remember when filming on camera for like Nerd, I felt like I had to present as more like stereotypically nerdy, you know?
Yeah, same.
And I don't feel that way on my own channel at all. I'm like, I am that way. I don't need to be wearing like the shirt or whatever unless I feel like it. So
yeah, I also agree. I'm like, I feel like I don't have to prove anything to anyone. Like if you're here and you're on my channel, you're a believer. And
you're a true believer.
Excelsior. And if you don't believe, then I'm not going to convince you. You know what I mean? Like, you either do or you don't at this point. Like, I don't know. I've got nothing left to prove. But when you're doing that content, I don't know, maybe it's also because, like, it's just under, like, another name. There's, like, a certain, like, you're like, I must earn the whatever. I also, like, I used to get this all the time in those videos. I would wear, like, a Batman shirt because I just wore a Batman shirt to work or whatever. And then I'd be doing a video about Spider-Man and people would be like, you're wearing the wrong shirt. And I'm like,
oh gosh, I remember
I don't
those
know what
days.
you think, that I have a closet here or something.
Because you'd have to film like 3 or 4 in a row. And then it's like
we'd film a bunch in a day.
Like, yeah, unless you brought like change of clothes with you.
Or you said like today is the day that like all the videos I have to do this week that are Batman, I'm gonna do all my Batman videos. Like sometimes I would plan it. Like sometimes if I already had something that I'd written and then the next day I was gonna film it and I knew what it was, or like if I knew like the order in which I was gonna film things that week, I would try to sometimes like plan outfits, but it's really hard because you're doing like multiple videos. But when you're at home and you're doing multiple videos, you know, you can just be like, oh, I'll just like change into something else if I want. Or if I don't want, I can just be like, I'm just going to be in whatever today because that's what I want to wear.
What I get to play with a lot more at home is the makeup.
Yeah.
Like getting to do all of like the just whatever, matching the things like lime green, like whatever. Because I'm here. I don't need to take the subway home or anything. No one needs to see me.
No one needs to see me. And it's also like, you don't have to, for me, it's also like I would like sometimes not get ready before I came in. And then it's like, you know, when you do your own makeup and everything and your own hair, it's like you don't have anyone on set. We didn't have anyone on set. I wish that would have been a dream. Makeup and hair, please. But that is a thing as well that I would be like, oh, I'm gonna just like quickly do my makeup before I film this or whatever. And it's just nice to be working on your own schedule. It's very freeing. It's great. Chemdog says, highlighted comment, you don't want to get chocolate on your Scarlet Witch cosplay. That's true. But I could wash it. I think I've washed it before. I think it washes pretty good. So it would be okay if I did. But this is a good thing to point out, Chemdog, because you know me. I'm a messy eater. Jagron says we need a dual casual and vamp cosplay comic stream. Vamp as Gobby Queen. I like that. I like Gobby Queen as a short for Madeline. And casually as Zatanna or maybe Polaris. She can rock green hair. Ooh,
I already have like I already have the Zatanna like top, but the thing is like I feel like if you're doing like Zatanna, you got to stand up because you know you have the legging unless you're picking one of the different costumes. You
can my favorite thing about stream cosplay is that when I want to, I could just like be in shorts and like just the top halves in cosplay because this is all people are gonna see. I mean, you know, people will come in sometimes and be like, stand up, spin around, touch your nose, like rub your belly. Like people will come in and tell me to do stuff all the time, but I just say no, and then say, don't tell me what to do in my stream, please. Please don't do that. So, you know, you don't have to get up unless you want to get up and show the fit, which I respect.
Because I feel like it's just part of it for Zatanna. I mean, you know,
it's a big part of it is the legs. I feel like for Zatanna.
Yes, if you're doing the original costume. You know?
Yes. And people were asking me the other day which one I'm going to do because I'm raising funds right now for that on my Kofi. And I was like, oh, definitely like classic. Classic Zatanna look is my favorite. No offense to the new 52 look, which is also great. Zatanna's had a lot of great looks. She's also had a lot of weird looks.
I actually posted one the other day because I was looking at that issue from Justice League where 161 is the one I think where she gets the new costume that has like the big like Dracula like collar and the ponytail. Is that the one
that's supposed to be inspired by her mom or something?
Yes.
She's possessed.
That's like her mom's costume.
Yeah. So. But it's because her mom is like possessing her.
There's like a whole subplot where it like moves. Yeah, where it moves towards that. Because I was re-looking at the issue where they all body swap.
It's standout.
It's the one where they all get body swap because I was looking at that panel where Hal, even though it's not Hal, grabs Black Canary and just kisses her. But it's funny because I've talked about that issue before, because that is the issue where they later link it to Identity Crisis. Is like, this is why we need to mind wipe people. I didn't mention that time because I'd already talked about it in the Zatanna mind wipe video. And like half the comments were like, is this the issue where like they need to do like the mind wipe?
This is why we need to mind wipe people. Only in a comic will you ever hear this.
Well, it's because at the end of that issue, they just swap them all back in their bodies, but they don't say anything about like, hey, like, didn't they like see their faces or stuff? Like,
or anything.
I guess it's fine.
None of that happened. Don't worry.
It's probably fine.
It's probably fine. Lomic says, but fishnets, Amanda. I know, guys. Fishnets are important. This is true. It's the same thing if you're doing a Black Canary cosplay, you know? It would be kind of hard to tell. I mean, I feel like for me it'd be pretty easy to tell because I'd be wearing a blonde wig. So for me, and I feel like the gloves are also part of Black Canary. So there's a few other things. But fishnets are also a key element there. So if you can't see the fishnets.
Did you read the Black Canary, like the Tom King one that just came out?
I didn't, but I do want to read it. I have heard good things. So
I did read it. That was one of the things I did read.
Did you like it? What'd you think?
I'm not a big like fight person.
Yeah.
So like the entire issue has this like running narration over top of commentators from the fight, like
and
detailing.
Corner,
the entire time, like talking about the history of her and Lady Shiva, like the entire issue.
So it's like so the whole issue is basically like, all right, and tonight the history of these characters.
So it's like that's going on, but over top of also the flashback of like Black Canary going and like doing some training like with her mom and like that kind of thing. But the thing is, like, if you're not into like either fighting or that kind of commentary or that kind of thing, like that's the entire issue. So
see, I feel like I would like that. I do like fighting. But like I'm not like a super mega fan. I feel like I say I like wrestling and then people always come in all the time and say basic wrestling things and I'm like, well, I don't know what that is. I've watched a little bit of wrestling and I know I like wrestling because I like actively get like like I physically like get closer to the TV. I know when stuff like that is happening, that's a sign that I'm super into something. So I get very like emotionally invested. And even in like just like fights, like boxing or I haven't watched a lot of MMA, but there's like just narratives that pull me in. It's the same thing with comics, I guess. It's very dramatic and I can't resist. But at the same time, I mean, I'm not a mega fan of that, but I think I would enjoy that narrative. Also, have you watched Glow?
No, I haven't watched Glow.
You should watch Glow. It's really good. I feel like you'd really like it. And I feel like that was the thing that for me, that was like the gateway into wrestling and made it so that when people said to me, oh, maybe you would want to check out some wrestling, I was like, you know what?
Maybe I would.
Yeah, maybe I would. Because I really liked Glow. Although Glow is very different, but it is dramatic. It's very dramatic. It's very wrestling.
What did you read this week?
What did I read this week? Let's take a look. I read One Piece. I finished the fight at Arlong Park. So that I just finished that. I'm almost nearing the end of the East Blue chapter of One Piece, which is the first 100 issues. So that's
making progress.
100 chapters. Yeah, so I'm making progress. So that was pretty good. Obviously just read Absolute Wonder Woman. Not these ones. These were on the top of the pile. I did just start reading The Moon is Following Us. I see it's out. I was reading it.
How are you liking it so far? The few pages you managed to get into?
I like it. It's reminding me of Saga a little bit to start. It's got some Saga vibes. I like this guy, the frog guy with his cigarette. He's a cool guy. And I like this couple that's just sounds like they're maybe trying to get their daughter back. Is I've only read the first few pages. Where am I at in this one? I got to basically here. So like the first two pages.
It's so gorgeous. I really like the art in it.
I really like the style, and I just really like how it just kind of starts right in the middle of this. Everyone's got very, very dynamic, unique looks that already tell you so much about like what the characters are probably like. And then when they get into it, it's like we're at a place of conflict, which I also think is good because I think starting a story with some kind of conflict really gives you a good sense for character, like when it's some social like conflict. So I just feel like there's a lot of really strong like storytelling choices even in this.
Like that one, I'm probably gonna cry. Like it's one of those ones where I'm like, I think that by the end of this, I will be crying.
That's probably dangerous for me because you know what that translates to, I feel like for me, is that I'll be crying maybe the whole comic. I'll let you know if I cry in issue 1, but I feel like I am one of the biggest crybabies on the internet. I also read Rockefellers.
Oh, nice. What'd you think of it?
I liked it a lot. I thought it was really nifty. I just love how it drops you right into everything at the start. And the dynamic between the family is really cute. And I just love like how everyone feels kind of unique in the group. And they have these conflicts with each other, but it really feels like it's very family. It's very like
it's very genuine. Like that's what I liked. Like it's like the conflicts didn't feel forced or like sitcom-y. Like they actually like felt like real
family
problems.
Conflicts. Yeah, that you would like not real. I mean, you know, you probably aren't part of a family that's been displaced to a different time period. So that's not, but just the way that they talk to each other, it really feels like when, you know, your sibling is bothering you or when your child is misbehaving and you're trying to deal with it, but trying to like also treat them like a human. Like there's just very human moments built into a kind of out of this world like setup, which I think is fun.
I reviewed it as part of a roundup for 3 of the Ghost Machine books. I did it with Hornsby and Halo #1 and Hyde Street #2. And like one of the things I said about when I was talking about it is that I think that it's something that's going to build on itself. So if you go into it looking for like it's like this is going to be like a whole bunch of time travel stuff, and it's like, no, that's not what you're going to get right off the bat. It's clearly taking the time to set up who they are and stuff first before you get into that. And personally, I'm enjoying that.
I think with a book too that has like a family dynamic or even has like a kind of a team dynamic right off the bat, like we're not like building it up yet, we're just starting in there. I think you have to do that because I think if you just jump into these big things, it's not going to be grounded enough to sustain what you're doing, and it's going to feel flat. I think
the moments won't hit because like you don't have anything to care about. Like if something happens to somebody, it's like, well, why do I care?
Although I will say I thought it was pretty crazy what they did right at the beginning. Can I spoil this? How long has this been out?
A week?
I mean, it's not really a spoiler if you read the preview as well, I think.
Yes, because it's included in the special that happened. So.
But the fact that I'm going to say it then. I'm just warning everyone. Rockefellers spoilers. DJ Knight says, you're the biggest crybaby I ever met. Lol, but I love you. Well, thank you, DJ Knight. I own my crybaby title. I need to get a shirt that just says crybaby on it. I'm totally fine with that. I'm very in touch with my emotions, sometimes to a fault. But yes, so in this comic, the grandmother, Rose Mary, is that her name? She dies like right at the beginning. But I didn't cry, but I did tear up. I did feel the weight of.
For me, it's like I didn't feel like a sadness about, but I was intrigued because the connection that it presented between like how she was talking to the person pursuing them. And I was just like, that's really interesting because like once like the villain goes like, I'm sorry, and she goes like, no, you're not.
Like... Yeah, I did. I really liked. I mean, it's also interesting because like in her demise, there's so much character building happening, which obviously is still relevant later on in the comic. But like even there, they're like, we better build this character up because she'll be back, but not like this. So that's also cool. And it definitely does build the intrigue of what's really going on here because they don't really give you much at the beginning.
No, they give you like the one panel at the end where it's like what the thing is that they're protecting. And it's like this weird looking like.
This weird, I don't even know what it is. It looks like a little brain in a
It
jar.
looks like I like an
hair on it.
eyeball like type. I thought it was like an eye, like a closed eyelid.
Like
You
a
know?
closed eye. Okay, I'm gonna take a look at
Look
it.
at it, like it's got like Eon Flux, like or Aeon, however you're supposed to say it.
Like you think it's like an alien eye or something?
An all-seeing eye. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there
All
now.
seeing. Oh yeah, I kind of see that. Oh yeah, but it's closed. Those are its eyelashes.
It's got like a little stem, like it got yanked out of somebody's head or something.
I thought it was like a little brain that had hair on it. Like it was like a little like malformed, I don't know, human or something is what I was saying. But I see. So it's just like a closed eye like this. Got you. But that's really weird because normally when you see an eye, it doesn't have like an eyelid with it. That's
I know.
it's not normal. I'm more intrigued now. That's strange. What a cool design choice. Yeah, I feel like it's just also the colors in this book are like unparalleled. These are really pretty colors. It's not surprised. Also the stock, but I've talked about Ghost Machine stock before.
Yeah, no, it's like it's physically just nice to hold. So
Touch.
is Distillery, actually.
Distillery is on another level. Have you read any Distillery?
Yes, actually. I read I was lucky enough to get an advanced copy of Warm Fusion, which is coming out next Wednesday, and I also got to talk to the author Scott Hoffman, aka Baby Daddy from the Scissor Sisters, and that was a really interesting conversation. It's really cool. It's like a dystopian future body horror type thing.
Oof.
So
sounds like another thing I need to read. Oh man. There's too many good Distillery books. This is the problem. Ben says, have you cosplayed Grace from Ready or Not? And what do you think about them making a sequel? I have not ever cosplayed Grace from Ready or Not. Ready or Not, Ben, is such a deep cut. I haven't thought about Ready or Not for a long time. I didn't know they were making a sequel.
Now you do.
Are the original people involved? I need to know more about it before I could give you an opinion on it, to be honest. But interesting. You're gonna make me go back and rewatch some Ready or Not. I loved that show. I used to love that show.
I never watched any of it.
Never watched Ready or Not? What? This is going on the reaction channel. Ready or Not. Not nerdy, but it's still important. Lummox said, casually, Jim Balance Catwoman costume is my favorite. I forgot to comment on that video. What do you think?
Oh, that is a good costume. And they're releasing that in the DC's finest. The Jim Ballant Catwoman costume is one that is often maligned and mocked. It is the skin-tight purple bodysuit where it's drawn like her breasts are like two almost like individual like sacks like on it. But like I really like the costume a lot. Like and her boots like go up to like wherever she's got the long flowing black hair out of the cowl. It's that costume. And her nails are like ridiculous.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Really long.
Well, I love ridiculous Catwoman nails. I always think that's a fun time.
Speaking of Catwoman, I forgot to mention this at the top. The winner of the book club for this month, and we're going to do the stream next week. I couldn't do it during the day. I'm sorry. I know people like doing it during the day. I'm going to have to do it in the evening on Thursday, but it was Gotham City Sirens Union. So the first six issues of this arc. So it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to talking about it again. I posted a snippet, and you know how YouTube crops the images. So it cropped it like right under Harley's butt, and people are like, I see what you're doing. And I'm like, no, listen. Okay, like look, listen.
You're like, I didn't do anything.
It's like I could have moved it, but then the title would have been out. And then
unfortunately,
I made my choice.
You gotta keep the butt. I mean, I love when people also say things like that, though, and I'm like, well, you're not complaining about it, and you seem to have clicked the video. So.
I laughed really hard because a lot of people just posted emojis of cake, and I was like,
you're like yes. Also, there is the cake that is also in this thumb.
But this is a lot of fun. It's actually, I feel like it's fun to go back and revisit this era as well because it's coming off of, a lot of some of the Hush things and stuff. And now we're getting Hush too. So that is a thing that is happening very soon. Did you read Justice League and see the little teaser for Hush 2 at the end?
I didn't read Justice League yet. No. It's I didn't see the Hush 2 teaser. But I need to read Justice League. I've only read the The only thing that I read was the setup, the DC All In special. That's all I've read. Yeah. But there's a Hush tease at the end, huh?
Yes, there
Sounds
is.
fun.
They're
Oh
really
boy.
it's like really brief. It's super, and I was actually wrote a whole video on this, but I didn't end up making it. And it was just tracking Hush through all the first times he returned. Because I'm like, if we were being accurate, unless we're memory holding / erasing everything, this is like Hush 6. So I went back and was just going through all the different times, and some of them I'd kind of lightly forgotten myself. So it was just like, oh yeah, he did have Dick Grayson's face for 2 seconds. So
Chemdog says I'm enjoying a boom book called Red Before Black. It's very good.
I've seen that. I haven't read it, but I've seen it around. Yeah.
I haven't even seen it. I'll keep an eye out. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of boom books on the shelves of my LCS.
Yeah, like Global Comics is pretty good at like updating like the boom stuff. So
boom stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Ben says, do you think that it's a coincidence that DC is releasing an absolute universe and Marvel is doing another ultimate universe?
It actually is. It actually is.
That's what the people say.
Like from how long it took them to set it up. Yeah, it actually is. And like DC, from what it sounds like, started first, but because of how long it took to get everything organized, ended up coming out after. So it's one of those, another one like, look, they're copying, and it's just like,
They just kind of, I think, had a similar idea around a similar time frame.
Well, I think it's also responding to the same energy. So it doesn't really surprise me because
they're both just trying to capture new readers.
So. Yeah, it's responding to like what they're seeing in the market. So it really doesn't surprise me that something so similar ended up actually emerging. And like you're seeing that with a lot of other things, like companies doing anthology books at the same time or relaunching certain things. So like that doesn't really surprise me all of that much.
I think what it's showing us is that there's a trend right now where if you have a book that is more accessible for people, it's going to be helpful because this is what I think it is. And some people might take it as like, oh, because like there's just not enough readers. And I'm like, I don't think that's actually the issue. I think the main issue is that there's a lot of people that actually want to read comics, but like can't do it. And so they see the opportunity to turn these people into comic book readers, but we have to make it feel like doable for them because there's a lot of people that want to read but feel like it's not doable. So instead they maybe they watch videos on the internet about comics or they do it in another way, and they're trying to take those people and convert them into readers.
I also think what you need is the fun factor.
You need to give people a reason to read.
And right now, I think that both of those are kind of bringing that kind of excitement because like when I remember when I got into it, like that was part of it. Like when you went and you looked for things and it was fun, that makes you want to keep engaged. If you go and you look for things and it's just like everything's terrible and dying and stuff, it doesn't really encourage you, to want to look at anything. And Olumix is asking, is Jim Lee back on the book? Yes, he is. Everybody's back. It's the exact same people from the first Hush run. So I think that's why they're calling it 2, because it's the same creative team. So they're back. Dante Cook, thank you very much. My LCS had 1 copy of the Bear Daddy Santa Claus Silent Night covers. I got it and I have no regrets whatsoever. It's going on my wall somehow. I'm so glad that you got that. I remember when we looked at that cover when we were reading solicits, just the like hot Bear Daddy Santa cover that they had for that. So I'm glad you found
I have not seen that cover, but I was literally talking to Jeff about that as well the other day because we were talking about Silent Nights because that's also Jeff Parker's book. And I was saying I need to add that to my list because I feel like I need some holiday vibes. And this sounds like it would be a great comic for that. And he's like, yeah, we just are coming back with the new one, which is weekly. But he's like, and the other one's in a trade, so you can like get it. Or you can just jump into this one if you want. I'm trying to make it like accessible for people. So
it's fun. Like it's a lot of fun.
That's actually something I'm really excited about with Zootopia. So like little inside on kind of what we talked about. One of the things we were talking about is how like each issue is basically going to be kind of like its own story, like its own kind of like case that they're on. And then Nick and Judy, and then and then it's all kind of going to be connected in a bigger way as well. But the whole idea being that like you could pick up like any number of that
And just
series,
read it.
and just read it and just enjoy the story of what it is. And maybe ideally the draw of like the overarching will pull you in and make you want to hunt down the other comics. But you could just read a single issue and enjoy it. And that's another thing that I feel like with Dynamite that they're also doing well with these Disney comics actually in general. I feel like they feel very like you could just pick one up and check it out, and it'll probably make you want to read the rest of the book.
And like
too.
I like stuff like that because it's fun, especially for like kids who are getting into it.
Yes.
Like I can see like like a kid who's a fan of Zootopia like really being into that because that's exactly where the movie leaves off. So, you know, and it's like, oh yay, now they get to go and have the adventures, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Lumix, thank you for the highlighted comment. Lumix said some people are intimidated to start reading books that have 800 plus issues. I ran into this when I ran a comic store. 100%. I mean, when something is like 803, it's a little, it's like,
I don't know. I disagree with that. Personally, I always have. Like I'm not saying that people don't feel that way because they do, but I think the history is an important factor and needs to be maintained because otherwise you get into constant relaunches.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then it's
I'm
just
not
like
saying
one,
that I
one, one.
think we should always go back to ones, but I'm saying just the way that people's brains approach that number when they're looking at it is the problem, right? Because it's like, really, you could start, you know, I mean, like, when
like,
I jumped into Nightwing, I didn't jump in at issue number 1 of the current Nightwing that's going on. I jumped in when Tom Taylor came on, was when I jumped in recently. And so that was like 70 something.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I've read some of the previous stuff, but I hadn't read all of it. But I wasn't like, oh no, I'm not gonna, you know, if I want to go back, if they reference something from a specific issue, I can always go back and find that issue.
Yes, if they actually deign to put an editor's note.
If they, please give me the editor's note, please. But yeah, if as long as they give me that editor's note, I can find it more easily, or I could do my own research, I suppose. But I prefer when I don't have to create my own editor's notes. It's nice. Although I have the resources. Yeah. Although, you know, I feel like we both have the resources that if they mention something in a comic and we're like, what? We're like, I'm going to hunt this down and I'm not going to stop until I figure out the answer to this.
Ben Chan is saying Zootopia, which I like.
I really hope that's what they call the sequel, Ben, because that is freaking excellent, honestly.
See, like maybe Louise is trying with but it doesn't work because it breaks up the word. Then you have to be like, you know, you're getting into like Hawktua territory, like, you know, Hush 2.0.
Oh my goodness. I'm actually really excited too because there's going to be the new Zootopia movie that should be coming out next year.
Yes, that's actually coming. So
yeah, that's exciting. We've waited a long time for that movie. Chemdog says, "I'm glad that legacy numbers are on the covers." I
am too.
I agree. But why do we ever have to go back to one? I mean, I know why, but we don't really. And it would maybe help to make people, I don't know, maybe everyone would just be intimidated by everything. But I think we just need to reframe the way we think about numbers on comics. And we just need to tell people, you're going to see a lot of numbers.
Well, I personally do too, because like I always saw the numbers as like exciting. Like, look at how long this thing has gone. Like, look at how long this thing has lasted. Like, that's amazing. You know, Steven Turner is saying Zootopia 2 opens same day as Wicked 2.
Is that true? Because if so, that's going to be a great day for me. I'm going to have to come in like a little fox outfit or something and then have like, I don't know, actually. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Okay, maybe we got to do a Glinda look for Wicked 2. I don't know if I can do
you already did for
I already did. I turned myself green. And I still want to do an Elphaba photo shoot. I don't know if people are going to be here for it, but
I loved that look. I thought it was good.
Thank you. I loved it too. I had a lot of fun. But I was saying the other day, I feel like some of my Wicked stuff has been like a bit dividing. Like it's like the one thing that I feel like I've done maybe ever on my channel where people have been like, I see that you like Wicked, huh? Like not in like a way of like being like, therefore you suck or anything like that. Also, Steven, thank you for the super chat, by the way. But more of like just, I'm really like not here for this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, I'm really here for it. So I can't hide that because that is who I am as a human being because I've loved Wicked for a very long time. But at the same time, Yeah, no one's being mean about it or anything like that, but it was just like, oh, I don't know,
Do you
maybe
feel like
like
maybe it was just some people, it was outside of what some of your overlap
yeah,
is? Yeah.
I think it's just like kind of very outside for some people. But
Hmm.
then at the same time, so like I did my Wicked review and I was saying in stream the other day that I was like, oh, it's like not doing very well, and I'm kind of like maybe this wasn't meant to be. Maybe like I can't, maybe this is like one of the things that like I really can't, even though it's just something I love and that's mostly what my channel is. Maybe it's too outside of my usual discussions. But then it started to find its people, and then I have
Hmm.
lots of people in the stream. I know I'm probably people in this stream right now that are like, "Yeah, I love the Wicked content." I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad. So it started to find its place in the algorithm. Praise
Hmm.
be the algorithm. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting because it is also interesting because for me, Wicked also does fit into kind of like the nerd spectrum because it is theater nerd spectrum and also because it is fantasy. And
Yeah,
you
but
know,
then there's always that thing that nerd and fan culture isn't monolithic. And so you may have
yes,
discovered like the splinter off of like you've branched off into like, you're gonna have a dance fight with like the comic nerds
yes.
and like the Broadway nerds.
That's yes. That was an interesting thing. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting because I guess I've just never thought of that divide as being so great. Um
Hmm.
Walk-ins, diners, and dives. Thank you for the stretch. But yeah, so that I never thought about it. But it's also hard because, you know, I'm a nerd of many
Hmm. You like lots
flavors.
of different things.
Yes,
So
I like lots of different things, and that is sometimes hard for other people to reconcile, which I understand and I respect. But you know, you can love Wicked and also enjoy Mortal Kombat, and also, you know, be like a huge X-Men fan. You can do it all. Don't.
you can live the dream.
What about the Spider-Man Broadway show? Otto, this is a good point. What
I
about the
love watching videos
where
about
we
like
all
the
cross?
disaster that was the Spider-Man Broadway show. Like it's so fun.
Also, CBM, I love this. Amanda is in the intersection where Patty Lupone and Agatha is. Yes, and CBM, to your point, when I was watching Agatha all along, do you know how excited I was about Patty Lupone being in, and no one knew who she was. I'm talking to all my other comic friends that like love stuff, and I'm like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh. And Patty Lupone, I can't wait to see what they do. I can't wait to see what they do with Patty Lupone. It's gonna be so exciting. So I was already super hyped
Mhm.
before everyone was on that bandwagon. I was already on the Lilia bandwagon because I love Patty Lupone, and then people were like, Patty Lupone is like amazing. And I was like, yes, she is. And she has been for a very long time. And then people were like, I didn't know she could sing. And I'm like, she's Patty Lupone. She's like Broadway royalty. But yeah, I mean, I guess my theater nerd also is like maybe not a thing that a lot of people know about me. It's another like
Mm.
learning, and they're like, okay, Amanda's
It's a
also
new dimension. You're getting more
yeah,
layers.
and then Duncan Mallory was actually saying you should do a review of the Wicked Broadway show. And I was like,
Mm.
I would love that. I was like, it's not on right now in Toronto, so I'd have to go
Mhm. Yep.
somewhere where it's
Yeah,
on and
or
watch
wait,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Or like just review from my memory. But I'd like to see it again if I was going to
Yeah,
do a
because
theater
each
review.
performance is different too, you know? So,
Yes, yeah. Each cast is going to be different.
mhm.
So I was like, that would be so fun. And then I was like, oh my gosh, if I just start doing theater reviews on my channel, people are gonna be like, what is this channel? I don't know. It's just random things I like.
The Willmeister, thank you very much. I like both your channels and love a good crossover. My question is, what's your favorite non-Marvel slash DC crossover in comics or otherwise? Ah,
Ooh.
probably the big game stuff that Mark Miller did recently. I thought that was really interesting, and that's kind of continuing to go on with the different Millerverse books. And you got to see some people again, like Superior. That didn't work out well for Superior, but like I just thought it was really cool to kind of see those things come together, especially so many years later for some of them. What about you?
Um, that's a hard question.
I know,
Um,
right?
Dang. Like, there's like a lot of things that I could pick. And I mean, Amalgam is one of the ones that's at the top for me in terms of just crossovers in general.
Oh, Lummox is saying
Hmm.
Looney Tunes in DC.
Tunes in DC is pretty good. Um, there's the Star Trek crossover. I feel like
That one's
That's pretty
fun.
up there. Yeah, it's just a fun time. I don't know. And then I also just think, speaking of Star Trek in general, it's not really a crossover though, is it? Is it a crossover? I mean, is it a crossover?
I think
If it's within
so.
your own universe, is it a crossover? I don't know.
Chris Townsend is saying Transformers and G.I. Joe! Exclamation mark.
Exclamation mark. Energon Universe. I mean,
Yeah.
Energon Universe is a good one. I mean, Massiverse also has some pretty fun crossover stuff that they do with the Supermassive. That's really fun. I do like the
Local Man
Supermassive
did
stuff.
some fun stuff pulling in some of the old Image characters as well, like bringing them forward, and that was pretty fun. And this
Yeah.
is not a crossover, but there's a holiday special from Top Cow, and it just has a really grumpy darkness on the cover wearing a Santa hat, and it's one of
Yeah.
my favorite things.
Oh, I also, it's not an official crossover, but in Invincible, there is some crossovery things within the Image universe.
Mhm.
And actually, and outside the Image universe, but none of them are official. Nothing is official there, but it's implied. There's some fun, really fun implied stuff that they do in Invincible. So they have some.
Oh,
really good
there's that crossover that
ones.
just came out that I need to read it, the Naruto and TMNT. So
That sounds interesting.
yeah, that just came out like recently. I'm like, oh, I need to read that.
What was the one that I read? I think it was Ghostbusters and Transformers has a crossover too. That's like surprisingly
yeah,
good.
Chemdog actually put that in the chat.
Oh yeah, Chemdog, did you put that? Yeah. That one is surprisingly good. Like, I remember when I read it, I was like, this is the weirdest. Like, I like both of these things, but I don't know how this is. And then I read it and I was like, oh, it's pretty good, actually. It kind of works, kind of makes sense. I kind of like that. I also really enjoyed when we read the Deadpool manga, Deadpool Samurai.
That was fun, yeah.
It's a fun crossover. So yeah, there's a lot
I
of good
finished
ones.
Operation Joker, and I have to say, anticlimactic.
Oh, was it anticlimactic?
I mean, I knew how it was gonna end, but it had one of those like wrap it up, kind of.
Oh, like they ran out of time or something. Maybe.
Yeah, they were like, we're not publishing this anymore. Just wrap it up. So
Yeah. Sometimes that's why I think when they do mangas as well, it's like you always have they say you always have like two storylines that you basically work on. So you've got like the if we continue, if we're in the top and we don't get cut, and then the like if we have to wrap it up at this
it's
point,
done.
what's
Like
the end of the story? Yeah, so when you plan your stories, it's like every time you're writing like, and then if it had to end here, and I was like, imagining like all the alternate endings that have just like not happened. Like somewhere there's like within the multiverse, those all are out there somewhere. Spawn and the Spawn and Marvel DC panel.
Oh, that one, yeah, where he's got like the heads in like the jars and stuff, where he's walking through the room and he has like different body parts and stuff like on the wall. I remember that issue. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there's also the Spawn and Batman crossover, but I don't really like that one very much, to be honest with you. It's a cool idea, though.
It's not my favorite one. I like the Darkness and Batman crossover a lot, though. I do like that one.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like the Darkness and Witchblade crossovers, they have some pretty, like, good. Oh, you know what's another good one? I read the Witchblade and Lady Death crossover. That one's really weird, but really fun and really sexy. If you like sexy ladies.
No, like Witchblade has some really like wild crossovers.
Yeah. Some wild crossovers. Chemdog says Star Trek Next Generation / Doctor Who crossover. Yeah, that's also a good one.
No, it's like it's weird when you go down like the crossover rabbit hole. It's just like what works, what doesn't. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Ben Chan saying Batman and Grendel the Hunter. Yes, I've forgotten about that one. And the Grendel is that Grendel series still happening? They were supposed to be doing a Grendel series on Netflix. I don't even know if that's still happening or not.
I don't think that's still happening.
But they did release the omnibus, so like that's that's what's really important.
So that's the exciting part, really. Chris says Star Trek / X-Men was a strange one. That was the one I was talking about initially, that I was saying was one of my favorites, but it is a strange one. It's strange, but it's fun, you know? And that's what I want of my crossovers. I don't need it to make a ton of sense.
You don't need it to make the most sense, but like if it
to make the most sense. But if it does, I mean, that's cool too. But ultimately, I think it's about like just watching characters intermingle, and like as long as that feels good and feels like a fun time to me, that's where I'm usually the most happy. Um yeah, Darkness versus the Hulk crossover. Oh, I haven't read that one.
Marilyn Duke saying Superman, Aliens, or Batman and Predator. I used to review some of like the Alien and Predator crossovers way back years now when I started the channel. Those were fun because I was just going through a phase of
sort by
like
oldest.
Yeah, 4
You can check
years
them
ago
out.
now. Gosh, ancient times.
Wow, 4 years ago. Is that how long you've been doing this channel for?
That's why I'm doing this channel. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's a long time. Oh my goodness, I'm such a little baby. Even though my channel is super old, but I've only been like active on it for like the last year, I think. I think if I sort by oldest. I mean, don't sort by oldest. My oldest video is jokes. Actually, you can if you want. I left it up there for you. Safado says, it doesn't make sense to me that Marvel and Capcom has never been a comic series. Yeah, I don't think they've done that.
I feel like I'm just thinking about my lawyer brain activate. I'm like, oh, like the licensing and like however we'd have to like figure like that out because I know there's been like things there between the two of them. So just like, huh.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because like we have the Marvel Capcom like fighting game though, so like the idea is if we have that series, why not?
Well, it's one of those things where like the departments don't like they're not always linked and they don't always talk to each other and they don't always have the same licensing rights between them. That's one of those things. Like sometimes you can have weird things where it's like, yeah, we have the rights for this in this department.
In this
but
form,
but
yeah,
like
but
you
not
can't use it
here.
like over
Yeah.
here. Like I've
But
run
it would
into
be
that.
really fun because I feel like there's so many people that are like a fan of even that like mashup. Think of the comics you could sell. You could sell so many comics. We'll make them all issue number 1. And we're gonna
Every
sell
single
so many comics. They'll all be issues number 1. Every
You've gone to
issue
the
that
dark
comes
side.
out, it'll be back to 1. 1. If I ever write a comic, I'm going to make all my issues number 1, and then it'll be the most accessible. And then people will say, "But what order does it go in?" And I'll be like, "The order doesn't matter. I wrote the story so that the order doesn't matter."
That would actually be a very interesting experiment to see if you could do that. Just
I
you know?
mean, I think you can. I think you can tell a story like that and say you could read it in any order. Every chapter is just like whatever. You just have to. It just would depend on how you have to approach each issue.
You'd have to approach it in such a way that the status quo would be malleable in such an extent that there wouldn't be events in the background that would happen that would cue you into like this should happen before. Like you couldn't have the main character like break up with his girlfriend or something like that. Like, you know, it's
you need to think of an arc in less of a linear way, kind of.
Yes.
But I think it's possible. I feel like you could do it, and it would be. Really,
I actually feel like that would be
cool,
a very fun like art project. You know,
it would be a fun art project. Maybe I'll write. Maybe I'll give it a try and see what I come up with. See if we can come up with something that's good. If it's good enough, maybe I'll pitch it. My issue number 1's only. I feel like everyone would want that comic. I'd say it's all issue 1. That's all
you would have to have a punny title. Like you would have to have something that played on it being like the first. That would actually be a lot of
fun. Yeah, we could just call it the first. The first issue number 1. What's the next issue? The first issue number 1. Stay tuned next month for the first issue number 1 again.
I love that. There's like such a satirical element to it. That's really fun.
This is how I approach all things that people are like, what if you did this thing, Amanda? I'm like, what if I did this thing, but I'm just always trolling everyone? But then what if I turned the trolling into an art?
Yeah, but what if it's like, you know, like crack treated seriously and like fan fiction? It's like, but what if like we actually took it seriously?
What if we actually took it seriously? Yeah. I've also joked about doing stand-up, and if I did stand-up, I was like, what if I did stand-up, but I just never say anything in the stand-up? And people were like, well, how can you do stand-up and not say anything? And I'm like, what if I just stand there in silence? And I always pretend like maybe I'm about to say something.
But that's the joke because you're standing up.
And I am standing up. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Well, I mean, other comedians have made that joke, but I start sitting and then I stand up and then I just don't say anything for the whole show. And I kind of sometimes have moments where it looks like I might say something, but I don't. And I think it would still be really funny because I think the awkwardness of silence in a room, if I could sustain it, now I have to be able to sustain it for long enough, but if I could find a way to sustain that, I think it would be hilarious. because awkwardness is what makes a lot of people laugh. So if you can channel that energy and sustain it for like 20 minutes, people are going to leave that show like sweating and probably really uncomfortable.
I
But
would love,
it'd be
because I can
funny.
imagine the analysis of it where people would like ascribe all this really like deep meaning to it, and like I'd
Oh
be there
yeah,
for
and
that.
I'd be like, no, I'm just trying to make people laugh. And I think the thing that makes me laugh the most is when I feel really awkward. I laugh a lot. So yeah.
Dante Cook, thank you very much. It's very appreciated. Says, just want to thank you both so much for what you do and happy holidays. You both created super fun channels that are safe places to geek out. Much love and appreciation. Well, thank you
Oh,
so much for
Dante.
that. Like that's a really kind sentiment, and it's really, really appreciated because
Thank you so
that's what
much.
we're aiming for. So
And you know, you're helping with the Christmas shopping, which we were just talking about at the beginning of this. So
yes,
very appreciated.
you
Thank
are
you so
far
much.
further along than me.
Yeah, I feel like you might that'll be good help because you got a lot to get done, maybe. Yeah, I was saying I think I only have one gift left. Like
Mm,
one main gift left. And then after that it's kind of like, you know, there's a few friends I might get some things for and things like
mhm.
that, but nothing insane.
I want to make some
Um
stuff this year. I think it's always nice to make things, you know?
Ooh, that's fun. What do you make? I wish I could make
Um,
things. I don't think I have skills.
like sometimes ornaments and things like that. Like there was one year where like Kevin's sister made like really cool like wood ornaments, and they were like they had like vinyl stuff on them and stuff, and I was like really inspired. I was like, one year I need to do something like that because it's something you can use like all the time, you know? It's just cool.
I like that. That's really fun. I have a lot of friends that are artists.
Mhm.
So I have a lot of friends that would like draw things from and still do draw things for me for like holidays, and it's so cool. And
Mhm.
it's like, and now some of them are also professional artists, so that's like what they do. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, I remember growing up, I was always like, this is so cool. I wish I had like skills to make things.
Mhm.
I was always like, I don't know, I could sing a song for you or like do a monologue. I don't know if that's interesting to anyone. I don't know. It's not as good as like giving someone something that's like tangible that you also like made yourself with your own two hands. That's like the best gift actually I think you can give. But it also takes time. So that
It
is the
does.
thing. So that is the hard part. Instead of it necessarily being like I gotta go like travel to the highest hill to like buy this whatever you want.
Mhm.
It's like I have to spend time and energy like building a thing and also resources. So, yeah. Oh, Lummox says you can always make cookies. That's true. I have that skill. I know how to do that one. That's one thing I know. I am going to bake a lot of cookies with my mom, actually. We're going to do a stream together. My mom's going to come over and bake with me.
Mhm. There we go. It's not,
Ah.
yeah, it's not a stream for me unless it like I don't know what's up with like the internet here lately, but it just decides to like cut out at odd times now.
Mine has been kind of acting weird too. It was acting weird last night. It was like, I don't know. I don't know if it was rivals or if it
Mhm.
was my internet, but it might have been a combination of the two.
So what kind of cookies are you and your mom gonna make?
I don't know yet. My mom makes really good she makes like really good, are they like, what are the ones that like melt in your mouth? They're not sugar cookies. I can't remember what they're called, but they're soft
Mhm.
and they are like you got to whip them, whatever they are. They're
Mhm.
really good. I'm going to remember the name of these, but only after I don't have to talk about it. So don't worry, the word will come back to me, but it's gone for now. And I don't know what I'm gonna make. I want to make some more ginger molasses cookies. I love ginger molasses cookies. They're my favorite. I
Mhm.
usually make the peanut butter blossoms with like the Hershey Kisses on top.
Oh, Marilyn Duke is saying
Those are good.
meringues.
Meringues, no, they're not meringues, but that is a great guess because meringues do melt in your mouth. They are like oh, I think they're like a shortbread actually, but they're not like a shortbread like a hard shortbread. I don't know if that's what we call them. I could text my mom and ask
I
her.
know
I'll be
it'd be
like,
like
"Mom, what are
here,
the cookies?
emergency. Like what are the
Emergency. What
cookies?
are the cookies called?" Um,
Streaming emergency.
yeah,
Oh.
streaming emergency. Jay Parker, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for the 6
Oh,
week
Jay
follow.
Parker, that's really appreciated. Look at the smiley face.
Thank you. It's so cute. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you.
Oh, that's really
Y'all
sweet.
stay nerdy, says Jay Parker. You too, Jay Parker. Thank you. I really appreciate
Always.
that.
There's no other choice.
Guys, there's no other choice. Not on this channel. We don't.
No.
We don't nerdy, at least in some capacity.
In some capacity.
Might be theater nerdy, but it'll always be nerdy. Don't worry. I'll never stop that. Ben says, I wanted to play Rivals, but my Xbox is too old. Oh no, Ben. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I hope that you are able to play it at some point on some device. It's really fun. I can't lie to you and tell you that it's terrible and you shouldn't play. You should play. It's really fun, actually. I played the beta and it's like, wow, did they improve the heck out of this game. The beta was still really fun. After playing the beta, I thought it might be my game of the year. Back then. Of course, that was a while ago, so a lot has changed.
What's your game of the year right now?
Oh, what is my game of the year right now? That's a good question. Let me look at my list. I have a master list.
Oh wow, I have a pick. I'm just like, forget everything else. Everything's gone. It's metaphor re Phantasma.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I did just play Balatro the other day too, and that was
I have never played,
fun.
but everybody who I know who's played it is like, this is the game.
It is really, really good. It is really good. I don't have some on here yet. Obviously, I was playing Dragon Age, the Veilguard, so that's not on here yet. Balatro isn't factored in yet. So without those factored in, Star Wars Outlaws right now is at the top, which I know is probably going to be controversial to some people. But I really liked Star Wars Outlaws, even though I will say I did go back and play it the other day, and there are things about that game that are like broken, I would say. But even with that, it's still just so like, also just visually, like that game is gorgeous. You could just sit and like lean on something and like look out. I could just do that and like just leave my game on and be like, I'm just gonna have that on in the background.
It's your new screensaver.
Yeah, it's so pretty. It's like, I don't know. And I really like the characters. I like the story. So all of that stuff really hits for me. And it is fun to play. There's just some things with the sneaking that are frustrating. I actually did film a review for it, but then we got distracted with other things. And so I never put it up. And I still kind of want to put it up, but I think I maybe might go back and like redo it. Because one of the things I didn't mention was some of the glitches that I experienced. And I just want to mention some of those because I think they need to be mentioned. It was a bit glitchy at launch. Not so glitchy that it broke the game, but glitchy in a way that definitely made the game frustrating. Yeah. And then I have Pal World under that. And then under that, I have Marvel Rivals. So those are my top 3 right now. But Balatro needs to be factored in, and so does Veilguard. So we'll see how that changes up the rankings.
No, because the awards are soon. So then are they next week? Or like, I don't even know anymore. I'm like, what is time? Things are happening.
Yeah. What is time? Where is this month even going? It's already the 6th.
It is. Oh gosh. That just sent like a pang through my entire being.
And it's, we're not that far. Like I think about it and then I'm like, well, the 6th isn't that far. We got a lot of time. But then I also think, but that's still too far into this month and I'd like to be like.
I know, like I actually had somebody ask me the other day. They're like, so what about like New Year's resolutions? I'm like, don't. How dare you?
New Year's resolutions. We're not there yet. We need to. How dare you? Don't ask me about that. Ask me when we're closer to the end of our year. I almost said to the end of our lives, but I was like, not
dark.
Actually. Yeah, not actually. It's to the end of the year. When we're closer to the end of the year, our lives. Hopefully not at the end of the year.
Are you thinking of doing a comic roundup for the end of the year, like faves?
Yeah, I'm thinking about, oddly, that is the one thing I didn't make a retroactive list of. But I think I could just kind of go through my robot brain and like scan through and just say like what's coming to my mind. Because there's definitely some standouts for me this year. And I think I can already think of like what I would put on that list.
Mhm.
What about you? You gonna do a roundup? I feel like I should do a roundup. I
I'm
feel
not
like
sure.
it's the right.
That's where I'm at. I'm like, I feel like I should, but I'm not sure because like some of my favorite things this year, I'm like, they weren't from this year. So I'm kind of like,
Yeah, that's always the thing I feel like that's hard with comics because like it's I mean, I guess it's easier with comics than it is with books though because I do really read like, you know, in 2024, I'm not just reading only the 2024 books.
hmm
You know, you're going to really read everything. But I feel like with comics, we do read a lot of stuff that's new, but there's also a lot of good classic stuff that you're constantly going back to.
or things that have now been collected. You know, it's like, oh, like now we collected all of this thing into like a compendium or an
Yes.
omnibus or like
So it's like a
whatever.
re-release of it to be like, look, here it all
Exactly.
is. And then it's also you're not just reviewing then the comic even. You're also reviewing like how is the collection?
Yes.
Because that can be its own thing. Some collections are really good. Some collections you're like, why is this like this? This is
Oh,
not very
speaking
good.
of a cool thing I need to review, I actually picked it up because I was going to talk about. We haven't yet. It's this.
I love
It's
how
really
everyone
heavy.
in my chat is like Alvin. Alvin?
Yeah, I know. He came
Yes.
by.
Alvin is
It's
here.
this. It is the Silver Jubilee edition of Get Freebies, which is this indie comic from the 90s that ran in Face magazine. They did a giant collection of it,
Wow.
including like a bunch of the behind the like the scenes, like stuff that wasn't printed, a bunch of
What?
the script for the show that didn't end up getting picked up, a bunch of like new prose things. It's super interesting. Like it's really, really interesting.
So in other words, it's a good collection.
It is a good collection. It's very interesting. It also has essays in it, which I like. I know some people are like essays, but like I really like the essays from the, you know, the one of the creators explaining like the context of how they made it and
I
why
find
and what
those
the
so good.
yeah, like what the subcultural scene was like, because this is the work that comes in between for the one creator, Jimmy Hewlett, Tank Girl and Gorillas.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like it's really interesting to kind of see like what the headspace is. The only thing is when I'm editing it, it's going to be so censored. Like there's going to be
Yeah,
so much.
so censored.
There's
Yeah.
going to be so much blurring of so many things. So
Oh my goodness. DJ Knight, you like Totally Spies? Totally Spies is great. It's a good. I like that. I like that you like that. Ben is asking with
Mhm.
their highlighted message, were you friends before top 10? No, we met
we
at
met
top
it.
10.
We met at top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we give that energy, Ben? Do we give the energy of like people that like we've always known each other as Sasha and I? Two peas in a pod. I mean, definitely a thing that I could see us. I mean, I do feel like whenever if Sasha and I don't talk to each other for a while, when we talk to each other, I always feel like it's like no time has passed.
Yeah,
I feel like we're those
always.
kind of friends, which is like a good kind of friend to be, I think.
It
In your
is.
life.
No, it's great because like I've had periods, like especially after having like one of the kids where I just dropped off the face of the planet. So like
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That is how it goes sometimes. And
No, so I was super grateful when you were just like, hey. I was like,
hey, how's it going? It's been a minute. Yeah, and I mean, we all kind of get to places. We can all get to places like that in our lives where we just kind of fall off. And so it's really nice when you can have people in your life that like, you know, if you need to fall off for a bit, that like they'll just be there. So like when you're ready to like be like, I've entered the world again, they will say, oh yeah, how's it going? Like we should hang out or do a thing.
yeah,
like,
and they're not gonna
judge
take
you
it
for it.
and not gonna take it personally either. Like clearly it's
Yeah.
because they hate me. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
Like with
yeah.
this.
Yeah, clearly they're over me. But I mean, that's also like I think a confidence that you can have both like from like yourself. Like those are also just people in your lives who like feel like they kind of have a good sense of who they are. But it's also comes from like a certain, I guess, just faith in that friendship of
Yeah.
like I don't have to worry because I always know that person's got my back.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is nice. It's especially nice to have in this space, to be honest.
It is. No,
Yeah.
it really is. It's special. The Willmeister, thank you very much. I loved your conversation about being nerdy, but Amanda, I have to say, Sasha's dorky. You were dorky, but you're radiating cool girl energy. Also, I too like Star Wars Outlaws, but why some don't? I just got called a dork.
Oh my gosh. I'm radiating cool girl energy. This is giving me more like things in my mind of
It's the cat ears.
It's the cat ears. It's definitely the cat ears. They're working it for me. Cool girl energy. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I think that means that I should do. I think what you're trying to say is that I should do a Glinda cosplay for Wicked Part 2.
I think you're hearing what you want to hear.
Is I'll do it if that's really what you want. I could do it. But yeah, people have said that to me before. I don't know. I don't really see it, but thank you. I'll take it. You know,
I'll accept being a dork. I mean, I feel like it's accurate.
Yeah. It's also like one of those things. I mean, granted, you know, when I was a kid, I was popular. Also, Black Phoenix, thank you so much for the 7 months of membership.
Happy Friday indeed.
Happy Friday to you. And happy 7 freaking months. That is over half of a year. I also just appreciate you because, you know, my members are most of my money on my channel. So thank you very much. Because you guys help me to like pay for food. Yeah, to live. I couldn't live literally if it wasn't for you lovely folks. Wow. Okay. I guess we're doing this then.
No, being dorky isn't bad. It's not bad. What I associate being dorky with is being like incredibly like in the weeds and analytical about like things that like nobody else I feel like cares about. Like when I'm like, I want a book of just the letters column. I'm like, that's dorky as heck. You know?
Yeah. I was like, I guess when I was younger, I was really like, I had a lot of friends, so I was like popular in that respect. But I was like also the person that liked to like go off and read books in a corner. So that was always like my experience. But I was like a popular like kid. But I wasn't like a popular kid, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't like running the popular group, but I would get invited to all the things. Like that was me. But it's weird because then I'm also a theater kid, so but I went to an art school. So once again, it wasn't really like a bad theater kid vibe at all. So I went to a school where like everyone was theater kids. Like we were all, or you know,
I have to ask because there was a theater kid school by my high school. Did people wear wings at yours as well? Were there wings?
No, I don't remember anyone wearing wings. We definitely wore weird things though. I mean, I would say for like 3 years of high school, I wore stilettos like actually I think yeah, for 3 years in high school, I wore still 6-inch stilettos, the same pair. I still had them up until recently, and then they broke.
Oh, boo!
But they were like silver, like a chonky stiletto, very tall, and I wore them every day, all the time, which I feel like is not a normal like teenager thing. I don't know. It was weird. I think about it now, I don't know.
I like heels, like personally. Like I'm a big heel fan. So
I like heels, but I think about it, and then you know when I went to college, because I went to college for acting as well. I had like movement classes, and it was very physical, so we had to like basically wear sweats all day. Was mostly what you wear in an acting program. So then I had to wear like runners, and I was like, man, I can't wear my heels. This sucks. And then I started wearing runners, and I was like, why did I ever wear heels? Like these are so comfy. Like I still love a good heel though, because it completes the look. And some heels are actually quite comfortable.
It's true. It just depends on the ones you get. You have to get the ones that suit your foot. So
Lummox says bragging about having friends. I'm just explaining my origin story of maybe that's why I give like cool girl energy. I don't know. But it's just weird because I also like got picked on for like, you know, liking to read, and I was like the person that would always sit at the front of a class, and I took like people always wanted my notes. People have always wanted my notes when I've been in school because I took great notes because I'm very like thorough, and I like it's even when I've done videos, even this extends into like top 10
you always
stuff.
did have very good notes like for your scripts.
I have good notes. And I also like am the type of person that people would say like we need this now, and I'd be like I just need to make sure that this character is wearing a blue shirt on page 3 because it's important to what I'm talking about.
But I totally get that though, because that kind of thing haunts me. Like I will go back and look. I'm like, so like was it this? And like even then you still miss stuff, and then it's like I tried so hard and got so far. In the end, it didn't even matter. But you know.
Or like, you know, I'd have a vague memory of something. I'd be like, I think these people fought, and then like this person uses this power, but like I don't remember. exactly where it is. And I need to find that, because if I don't find that and I'm wrong and I've like just jumbled up a few stories to make this imaginary scenario, I'm going to be disappointed in myself. And people would be like, you could just be more general. Like, you don't have to be specific. And I'm like, I really need to be specific, actually, because that's just who I am as a person. And even to this day, I'll do videos, and now I don't really script as much. A lot of my videos are more like I make notes. Some of them are scripted, but I do find, I think I have like some teleprompter trauma or something. And when I use a teleprompter and script stuff, I get so sweaty. I get really uncomfortable. And I was talking to one of my editors, and I was just like, I have this like really kind of not great experience. And he was like, I can literally see it when I'm editing the video. Like, I can see that you're uncomfortable. He's like, and most people probably won't see it because like
because they don't know you.
They don't know you like I know you. But it's also like, I can tell that you are like, there's a different vibe. And so I was saying that like maybe in the future for all things, I'll just try to do notes for now, because I'm not ready to go back to the teleprompter.
What happened to you in the teleprompter?
I don't know. I think it's, you know what I think it is? I think it's just this putting me in a different headspace of like making me feel, because there is, and I mean, this kind of ties into what we're talking about. I feel like why maybe you and I feel a need to be so thorough. I can't speak for you, but for me, I think it comes from a place of never really feeling like I'm enough, or I'm enough, whatever you prefer. I'm enough. So that comes from like some deep-seated stuff way in my past, way back. But then there's also just like being, you know, a woman in comics and a person in comics as well, of just a lot of people being ready to tell you that you don't know anything. So you really feel like I gotta tell them every tiny detail. And there was also a very long time where in the comments there was this trend, and I don't think it happens as much anymore, thank goodness, but where people would say, you forgot this, as though like, I never knew. And I'm like, I just didn't put that in. I know about it, but I can't mention everything
because sometimes it's not relevant. Because sometimes it's not relevant to the script, or it'll derail it or send it in a different direction or something that will completely
or you know, sometimes you got to pick and choose. You're like, I only get 10, so like that's a good one too, but like I only get 10, so I just picked the 10 that I felt were the most relevant, or that were my favorite, or whatever. So for me, I think it comes from that place. And then it kind of, I guess maybe when I'm using a teleprompter, puts me back in this headspace of like worrying that like I'm going to mess up, or that like I miss something, or that like I'm just not enough for people. So
I haven't used a teleprompter since Nerd, and it's just because I have a script and I follow it for the most part, but oftentimes while I'm doing it, I'll also modify it or move some things around. Like I'll memorize it and then I'll modify and move and like that kind of stuff. And I just like having that kind of freedom to be able to do that. Whereas with the teleprompter, I would still try and do that, but like it's a bit more restrictive. So it's still going, even if I'm ad-libbing and like moving things around.
Yeah, it's hard. So it's hard if you don't have someone on a teleprompter as well. Like I mess up. The difference that my editor was saying was when I mess up with the teleprompter and when I mess up not with a teleprompter, it is a very different reaction. I get very mad at myself when I mess up on a teleprompter, which I never actually used to do at Nerd. And if I messed up with my script, I would just go back. It didn't bother me, but now it does. And with my notes, if I mess up something, I'm just like, oh, well, and then I just go right back into it.
It's like for me, because I'm editing myself, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's fine if I mess it up. It's just me. I'll know where I did it, you know?
Yes, that is
only
true.
I have to see it.
That is nice. That is nice when you're editing your own stuff. You can be like, I will just be like, that's where I messed that up. And I'll even know when it's coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Because my thing when I edit because I do edit for like my shorts and stuff like that. I do a lot of editing there. And do you ever know, like, you can just see when you're about to go to the place and you're like, oh, this is the part where I do this. And it's not even like because I know the time that it happened. It's just like I see my eyes go like here and I'm like, oh, I'm about to mess up. I can see it. It's coming.
No, like sometimes I'll just remember. I'm just like, I remember that like there was a sentence in this or something where like I just got stuck for like a moment. So it's probably like at around, you know, this point or something. Ben Chan, thank you very much. Have either of you seen the end of Superman and Lois? If not, what do you think of their version of Lex? I fell off of Superman and Lois, I think about a season ago, and I need to catch back up because I did enjoy it. It's like it's one of those things where like I liked it. There wasn't a reason like I stopped or anything. It was just again like so many other things, but I want to catch back up with it because it was something that I was liking. What about you?
I haven't watched Superman and Lois, but like everyone in my chat is always talking about it.
It's good. Like I really like it. Was really good.
I've seen a few scenes from it. That's all I've seen. But I've liked what I've seen, and I feel like I need to watch it because everyone's selling me on it.
Blake Northcott, shout out from Canada. Shout out to you as well. I hope you're not swamped by the season as we are, but probably. Oh man.
Oh my goodness. Hello, Blake. I hope you're well. What was I gonna say? Yeah, Ben is saying they've seen that it's common for women to be given a harder time for comics. Yeah, I guess Snarky J has like some hate comment videos about it. Yeah, I feel like it is weirdly common, and it's hard because like sometimes I'm like I want to talk about this, but then other times I'm like I think it's just better if you don't. Like I try not to fixate on it too much because when you do, it's like giving it power over you, so it's hard, but it gets to you. Like it sucks, man.
I don't know. Like personally, I guess maybe I've been lucky. I haven't really found that too much.
That's good.
Like I've just found that people have been very accepting outside of like the general usual nerdy things of like you need to know like this much stuff, but not in a gendered kind of way, just in like a nerdy kind of like we're all nerds here. So like what issue did this happen in? You know?
Right.
Like that kind of thing.
I mean, I've experienced in a few areas, I've experienced this thing where people go like, well, you don't look like this kind of nerd or whatever. Like I look like a cool girl. That's why, guys. We've solved it. That's why.
You gotta take the ears off.
You gotta take the cat ears off. Yeah, I've gotten that though before. It's just this idea, and even in like tabletop, and even from people that I know and love, from friends have said this to me, not knowing that it's like that is like a really kind of like hurtful thing.
A sore spot. Yeah.
Yeah. But they don't mean it in a mean way. Although they kind of mean it in a mean way to maybe themselves or just other people in those fandom spaces, because they're like, you just don't look like that. I'm like, what do you mean? And like, you're an attractive lady. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, that's nice, but also, what are you trying to say? I'm like, you're attractive. Like, what?
Steven Turner has one for you saying, you two are my favorite comic YouTubers. Thanks for your content and doing it for the girls and the gays. I enjoy both of you for your perspective on comics. Thank you very much, Steven.
Thank you so much for the super chat. And yes, I'm always here for the girls and the gays. I'm here for everyone, but definitely for the girls and the gays. Get on in here.
No, we're here for all nerds. It's really fun to get to talk about this stuff all the time. Like it's really great and really exciting that like people are so down to talk about it. I love it.
And I will say the other thing too is it's like even when I have had problems in spaces, it's certain people and it's certain spaces, and it's not always coming from like even a negative place. But like in my community, in your community as well, I've never felt like I'm not like good enough, or that's the thing. It's like when I do notes, that's the thing I think that I really love. It's like I just feel like I can just trust that like my notes are good and I can just go. And I can just like say whatever. But it's nice to have those for like very specific things. Like when there is something that you want to bring up that's like I did my exceptional X-Men video and I was talking about Marauders and I was talking about some stuff, and I wanted to go back and grab those issues. One, for my editor so that they have the issues to reference, but two, also just because I wanted to speak about a very specific moment. So I wanted to go back and review that moment and then talk about it directly. And so if you're doing quotes and stuff like that as well from comics.
I love a quote.
We love a quote. We love a quote. But it's definitely great to include that. You have some of the best quotes. People always come and are talking about your amazing voice work in my chat. That's another thing.
I appreciate that.
We should just get a group of people together and we should do voices for a comic.
Oh,
I don't know how
I
we.
love like doing that kind of stuff. I like what I like about the details is I just like you find so many interesting things. There's one I want to do very, very soon, which is that there's a mystery. There's this mystery that's never been solved about like who this certain character was. And I've been doing the research to make sure that nobody actually solved it before I make the video on it. But I'm like, I don't think anybody solved it. And that's gonna be really interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Awesome Sauce Radio. Thank you very much for the sticker. I can see it over on my thing, but it doesn't translate over onto StreamYard. But thank you very much. It is appreciated. The Willmeister, thank you very much. I like to think of Superman and Lois as sort of a sequel to Lois and Clark. Do you agree? Also, which show gives us the best Lois and Clark in terms of their relationship? I would argue Superman and Lois because Lois and Clark still has some of like I like Lois and Clark, but it still has some of those like classic like they're having shenanigans, like 90s style episodes, which are fun. But I think if we're talking about like where they feel like solid, I would argue Superman and Lois. But I love the kind of slight not it's not full mess but like a light mess energy of Lois and Clark. Did you watch Lois and Clark?
No, I also didn't watch Lois and Clark. I also heard that was really good too. Dang, I gotta get on this.
One of
I
the
watch
ones
so many things, and yet I still feel like I don't watch enough things.
well, one of the things I do think it's very rare. It's when I'm feeling like I'm gonna put something out and like probably no one's gonna watch it but me, but I don't like I just want to talk about it. Is Superboy, the series. There are some very interesting Superboy episodes. It's just kind of
Superboy, the series. I
Yes.
don't even know about Superboy.
There are 4
What are you talking
seasons
about?
of
There are
Superboy.
4 seasons?
Live action Superboy is
When
a
did this come
thing.
out?
The late 80s, if I'm getting my dates correct.
Okay, I thought it was new. I
No.
thought you were talking about a new Superboy series.
Oh gosh, no.
And I was
You gotta
like,
go. You gotta go
"What?"
back.
Yeah, you gotta go back. Yeah, okay. I feel like I have heard about this, but I've never seen it.
I like watching them sometimes. And there was like another channel that like interviewed some of like the extras and stuff. I'm like, this is like for a time. I'm like, this is it. This is like I don't need to watch anything else.
Lummox says she didn't have time for nerdy shows. She was popular. No, I've always watched nerdy shows. I've always been a nerd. I just was a nerd that was invited to parties. That's all. I don't know. And then I would go to those parties and bring books and read them in the corner. I don't know. And sometimes fall asleep next to speakers. That was also another trick that I used to do.
John Stewart is saying you just want to review the Mixie episode. I do. I do want to. They have like an accurate, like costume accurate Mixie with the hat and like everything. It's so good.
I gotta see this. That sounds great.
Oh,
I want to go back and watch all of the Japanese Spider-Man show. I've only seen a few episodes, but that's something. You know what I did? You know what I have watched? Have you watched Spider-Woman?
No, I actually have not.
This is another thing we should do a reaction to because this is a treat.
I watched one episode because it tied into a video I was doing when I was doing a bunch of Spider-Woman videos. So there was.
What did you think of that one episode?
I mean, I don't mind watching shows from that time. So I'm just like it's fine for me. I actually enjoy going back and watching those types of things. Like they are re-releasing Super Friends on Blu-ray and I'm like, yes, release it for the people.
For the people. I really enjoyed Spider-Woman and I just thought it is such a fun time and it's such a wacky show. I love how wacky it is. And I love how Jess is always like pretending to be afraid of like everything. She's like, oh, a spider, I can't. I was like, girl, you have to do this because if you don't, like people are definitely going to catch on to the fact that you're Spider-Woman because it's so obvious otherwise. You really got to play it up to protect that secret identity. But the Jessica Drew animated show was awesome. It is so fun. No, I really enjoyed watching it. The cartoon Spider-Woman, yeah.
So was there anything else you read this week that we missed?
Oh yeah, we got distracted.
We don't have our things. That's why we don't have our pop-ups.
We don't have our things. I also got distracted and was like, don't let me reveal how few things I've read. No, but it's fine. I'm in a safe space here. You guys know that if I'm not reading, it's because I'm busy watching something or because a lot also came out this week. There's too much is happening in television and movies. I read Dazzler issue number 3. So it looks like this is going to be, I think the next issue might be the last one.
Yeah, it's 4, I think. 4 issues.
And now I see why there are the problems that I have with this that exist.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that actually I don't have a lot of problems with this because all the problems are just because they only have 4 issues.
Mm.
So,
So
I
it's
mean,
things you wish like had more detail or more expanded or like that kind of stuff.
yeah, but it's like they're just like we really want to put this in there because we think it would be really cool, but we also only have 4 issues, so we kind of got to do it like a little smaller than what I would have liked, a little less like deep than I would have liked. But you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to do that when you only have 4, unless they wanted to do like a hyper focus, like pick like 1 or 2 things and then just go in on those. But I appreciate that they're trying to really add a lot of fun touchstones for people that love, you know, Dazzler and are big fans of the original series. There's just so much in there that's great. So
Mm-hmm.
this was more building on some of the stuff that I loved, and then also showing some more of the issues that I have with it. But then when I finished it, and they were like, "Yeah," and then like our next issue's the last issue, I was like, "Oh, I see why there's the problems that you have these problems." Because this 4 issues is not a lot. I'm very interested to see who is behind all of the attacks on Dazzler, and I loved all of the deep cuts that they had and like the potential like list of suspects
Mm-hmm.
for all the people that have a reason to have beef with Dazzler. Also, I love that Dazzler is just like one of those heroes that she actually has like so many enemies. It's like there are so many people that have like reasons to have beef with Dazzler, and you're like going through them, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, there's that person. Oh yeah, that hasn't been resolved, has it? And then I read Uncanny X-Men issue number 5. I still have to read
Mm-hmm.
issue number 6, but
Mm-hmm.
this was the end of the. I don't know. Did we talk about this one last time?
No, I don't think we did. We talked about the one before it. Yeah, we talked about the
Yeah,
one before it. Yeah.
this is the end of the first arc, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was pretty good. It did feel a little Deus Ex Machina, but
Mm-hmm.
they did set it up. So I was like, I feel a little bit conflicted with how it was resolved, but I
Mm-hmm.
also feel like it's the first arc, so it's not really as much about how this first fight is resolved, because usually with first arcs, they have a way of having that staying power that in the end, they come back around to bite you later.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really more of like a wrap, a mini wrap, I think, because I think this has introduced a lot of elements that are going to be part of the overarching story and overarching problems and villains that we'll
Mm-hmm.
see later down the line that'll get even more intense. And a lot of the things that it built in the first arc really started with a punch, which means when we see them later, they're going to be nuts if this is how they're
Mm-hmm.
starting. Like Sarah Gaunt and
Mm-hmm.
the dragon that they fight as well. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. Sarah Gaunt might not come back, but I could see her being used more. I thought she was really cool, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted them to do more with her than what they did. So hopefully I'm right.
And you get to
And
see her again.
I get to see her again, and we get to kind of flush out her character a little bit more, because I just feel like she was a little bit underutilized here.
Mm-hmm.
Um but yeah, I mean, I'm still loving it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's still all the things that I want
Mm-hmm.
in my comic. So I don't really have big things to say that are negative, but it's DC
Mm-hmm.
Absolute is a whole other ball game.
No,
I
I
will say
have
that.
another indie one, but first I'll get to the Willmeister. Thank you very much. I love Superboy. Isn't that the show that they changed actors because the original Superboy actor was too great? Also, didn't Lois and Clark sort of end that show due to fear of confusion? The Lois and Clark kind of wrapped up, but like yeah, they did switch actors a lot on Superboy. They switched the main actor, they switched Lana. There's like just a whole bunch of switching, and they just don't talk about it. It's just like new season, new actor, and it's just a consistent kind of thing. So it's very entertaining from that standpoint as well. You're like, oh no, stuff went down, behind the scenes on this show. Vinagonia, thank you very much. Have you ever got to meet your favorite comic creator, artist, writer, both in person? I got to meet Peter Milligan earlier this year and talk for a bit. That's really cool.
That's really awesome. Favorite comic creator slash artist,
In
writer,
person.
both. I mean, I have met quite a few people in person, like at cons and stuff. Um, hmm, my favorite writer. I mean, I've met some people that were pretty high up on that list. I mean, although I haven't like sat and had a chat with Gail Simone, um, I follow Gail on Twitter and she follows me back, which is pretty cool. I did sit next to Blake on an airplane and we chatted, which was really cool. um, I did actually get to talk to Gail at SDCC because I did get to ask her a question at the panel, so I did talk to her in person. And then there are some people that like I can just like come by and like chill with them, which is pretty cool. So yeah, like Kyle who does the Massiverse. He and I usually like if there's a con where Kyle is going to be at, I'll usually make a point of like going by his table to just like chat and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" and like see how the con is. And just like chat about like Massiverse and things that you know, he's excited to see like come up. I'm excited to see come up. So that's really fun. And then I've also talked to Babs Tarr in person. She's another person that if I'm at a con and Babs is there, I usually try to go by and buy something from the booth and chat with her. I don't know if she remembers me, but I remember her. So. I don't know. What about you, Sasha? Have you had anyone that you've met? I mean,
I rarely leave my home, so I don't meet people in person usually.
I've met a lot of people over like
I've gotten the chance to talk to a lot of people who like I really respect, and it's been very interesting to hear the different creative processes. If we're talking about like favorite creators, I'm about to sound so morbid. A lot of them are dead, unfortunately. So I have not gotten the chance to. But like someone called me an odd duck the other day, and I feel like it was fair because like I read a lot of like silver and like golden age stuff. So like you know,
a lot of the people that are making the comics that are like some of your favorites are like literally
for example, one of my favorite artists is Kurt Schaffenberger, who like drew like Lois Lane in the Silver Age and stuff like that. So you know,
yeah.
But it's like there are lots of amazing people out there, and I'm sure you've encountered this as well. Like most people are like very easy to talk to, which is really nice. So
it is really nice. It is really like not all industries are like this, but comics, I would say for the most part of what I've experienced, I haven't had a bad experience yet with anyone.
I'm knocking on wood for you. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, hopefully I continue that streak. I know there's probably going to be some people that are going to be more difficult, or that like, you know, we might just not gel, which is okay. But yeah, I've been very lucky where everyone has been so lovely and just is so like wise and has so many cool things that they're into that I'm like, this is just cool. And we're just like nerding out right now about stuff. It's so fun.
Like I also have this thing where like I have a hard time like accepting or giving compliments. So like that's also like, you know, a thing. Yeah. Stephen Turner, thank you very much, saying the Uncanny X-Men team gonna be Storm 3.
Gonna be Storm 3.
Gonna be in Storm 3. I'm missing a word.
3.
That's important. The in is very important there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I need to catch up on Storm. I gotta read issue 2. So that I can read issue 3 and I can see my beautiful team and say, look at those cuties. Look at those hotties. Hottest X-Men team around. Except that also Exceptional X-Men's pretty hot. Probably. It's probably gonna be pretty hot. We'll see.
I can see you thinking about that statement as you were saying.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
You're like, wait, hold on.
Is it? It's up there. It's definitely. Well, you know what though? It actually might be because like who do we got on Uncanny X-Men? We got like my two biggest hotties, Rogue and Jubilee, and Gambit.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I thought you were gonna say Gambit second.
No, not Gambit. Jubilee and Rogue are my two like first X-Men crushes. But Gambit's pretty hot. I'll give it to him. Wolverine's pretty hot, even though I've said that before. And I remember someone said to me, "You don't believe that." And I was like, "Yes, I do." I was like, "Don't tell me what I'm into, please." I was like, "Don't tell me." Oh. Like, no one would be into Wolverine. And I'm like,
that's so hard.
I was like, he gets all the women, first of all. I don't know what comics you've been reading, but he is very hot. Oh. He gets all the women. Because they were saying that, like, I can't like short guys or something. And I was like, yes, I can.
You can love a short king. It's fine.
Yeah. say, have you never heard the term short king? We have it for that reason. Wolverine is definitely a short king. And who else? Is there someone else? Nightcrawler. Oh, Nightcrawler's super hot.
Yeah, no, Nightcrawler actually is. Like, I
Why
feel
is
like it's
Nightcrawler
underrated.
so hot? Yeah. Is there anyone else? Did I miss anyone? And then we have all the kids, but obviously we're not going to talk about that. Well, we won't talk about that, but that is the team. So it's pretty hot, but you know, with Exceptional also happening right now.
Well, I mean,
And then we're
any
gonna have
team that
Kitty and
Emma's
Emma.
on, so
Yeah, that's two hotties right there. But I still think Uncanny X-Men might be the hottest team that we have right now in comics. I said it, folks. You can quote me.
You can quote her. You heard it here first.
Uncanny X-Men's the hottest team. You can fight me for it. Also, sorry, Scott, over on X-Men. And
Just
Magneto.
excluded.
And Beast. Sorry, guys. And Psylocke, sorry. You guys are
Oh,
hot,
this was the other thing I was reading. I actually have a thing for this still. It's Grommets by Rick Remender and Brian Posen, and then we have Brett Parson and Moreno Denicio on art. And I just think it's a really interesting miniseries. It's only 7 issues, and it's like set in the 80s, and it's just about these kids who are into the skating subculture. And it's very much kind of got that, like, you know, those 80s movies from back in the day where it started off seeming like it was going to be like, oh, this is going to be an innocent good time. It's like, actually, this is about like the grit of what it's like to be a kid in the 80s. And like, that's very much what this is. And it just, it feels very authentic, but it still has this kind of fun, cheeky, kind of nostalgic, but not in a way of like a rose tinted nostalgia about it. More in just like, yeah, things were different. And like some things were more fun, but also some things were like really scary and also not great. And it's just, it's really interesting. Like I haven't talked about it yet because I'm curious how it's going to end because it's only 7 issues. So I'm like, is this going to be one of those things where it's just like, this was just a moment in your life that like you experienced? Or I'm like, where is this going? You know, so I'm curious about that.
Yeah. KO Joe, you could clip it. You could clip me saying
you're about to get clipped.
You can clip it. You can clip it. You can share it. I don't mind. I'll go on record. Yeah, that sounds really fun. I mean, okay, kind of still a different vein, but you should really watch Skeleton Crew.
I love how you're coming back. You're like, listen, like, please watch Skeleton Crew.
Please watch Skeleton Crew. I'm going to have a Skeleton Crew review coming out soon for y'all on the channel for episodes 1 and 2. But I will say that you should really watch Skeleton Crew because I think you're really going to like it. And also, anyone that's listening, you should watch Skeleton Crew. I can't guarantee that you'll all like it because I don't know all of your personal tastes as well necessarily, but it is pretty great. Yeah, Chemdog says Skeleton Crew is basically Goonies. Yeah, it's basically Goonies in space, which was kind of what I said when I was reacting to the trailer, and it was pretty bang on, I think. It's very, very fun. It's very good. I really like it.
Dante Cook, thank you very much. Is saying, as a short king, I say give all the love to Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, he deserves it. He earned it. He's just a hottie. I don't know what to tell you. I don't make the rules, okay?
I'm
But
also
Wolverine is a
enjoying
hottie.
Tim Hens saying Nightcrawler is my sexiness role model.
I love that. Ben says Nightcrawler's the whole package, double mommy issues and all. Lummick says that tiny Canadian furry. He is very furry. That was the other thing someone had beef with. They were like, he's very hairy. I was like, yeah, I'm aware. Ben, I also like how Spider-Woman isn't connected to Spider-Man. Lumix says, does Longshot appear in Dazzler? No, not yet. Anyways, maybe in issue 4. Chemdog says, I actually have something in common with 2 of the new kids in Uncanny X-Men. Well, that's quite a cliffhanger.
I know. I was like, what is it? You know, I was waiting.
Lummox says, I think there are several 80s kids in the chat. I think there might be some 80s kids around these parts.
If so, I think you would probably enjoy Grommets. Like, there was a whole like blurb from Tony Hawk who was like, I enjoy this. I was like, that's really cool.
That's really cool. I condone this. Amazing. I say the Tony Hawk stamp of approval.
Yeah, it's got the Tony Hawk stamp of approval on it.
That's great. Yeah, it sounds really fun. This is the problem though. It's like there's too many things. There's too many things.
Well, it's like I stumbled upon it really randomly because my Global Comics app was like, "Do you want to read this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess." And then it turned out that I did.
And then you were like, "Actually, I really do. This was a good recommendation. Thank you." I'm gonna add it to my list. My long.
Well, in all fairness, it's on issue 6 now and only has 1 left. So, like, when it comes time to like,
yeah, when it comes
up,
time to read it, I could probably just get a trade.
Exactly. It won't be like, oh man, I gotta wait or anything. So it's nearly done at this point.
Did it start this year, 2024?
It did, I believe. Yes.
Okay, it's on the list. Oh, what is that? Is that Alvin?
Yeah, it's Alvin.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like Alvin is literally trying to communicate with us. Like, does it not sound like Alvin is talking, everyone?
Like, I could probably let him in at this point.
Yeah, let him in.
Hold on, I'll let him in.
He's got things to say. Get him in here. We need him on the chat.
Hi, Alvin. You just need to not knock over the mic.
He's like, I'll knock over the mic if I want. How dare you tell me?
He's like, he's so happy. He sounds so angry.
He's like, you finally let me in. Finally, I can be in here with you. Alvin just has a lot to say. He's very passionate about comics.
He is. He always comes whenever I'm streaming or if I'm doing an interview. And then like Alvin's like, what about me?
I wonder if it's because he hears you talking to other people and he's like jealous. Like he's like, who are these other people? Who are these people you talk to on your box, your image box, Mama? I'm very offended. I also need to participate in this conversation. Is that Sasha's duck?
I've heard before that people say he sounds like a duck.
Low hit. No, it is Alvin is a cat, but that is by far. That is such a good comment. I can't even tell you. That's in like top 10 chat for me for the evening. I will be the one having a duck if there are any ducks. Duck and I have talked about what if we got a duck? Wouldn't that be fun? So maybe we'll be eccentric and have a duck.
That would be very eccentric. And then you'd always have to explain like why a duck.
Like why a duck? And yeah, which I'm fine with. I'll explain why a duck. I mean, I think this is the thing with the duck. You don't really have to explain once they see the duck. Like once they like be like, just wait a few minutes. And then once they get to see the duck in action, they'll probably get it. Because ducks are pretty cool. And they're also like really social apparently. So I think it could be a cute vibe. But I don't know.
Getting pecked by a duck.
Yeah, that would hurt. But you know, cats got teeth
and claws.
So I mean, I've been clawed pretty badly by a cat. It has not deterred me from getting a cat, though. I do want cats.
Yeah.
Although sometimes people warn me in chat, and they're like, don't become a cat lady, Amanda. And I'm like, well, guys, I'm going to probably have a cat at some point, so I probably will be a cat lady, because I'll be a lady with a cat. So watch out. Don't worry, I won't throw any cats at you or anything. I'm not going to go like full Simpsons.
Kayojo is saying Count Duckula.
Count Duckula. Yes.
This would be a great name.
That'd be a great name.
You're getting stuck. See, he's getting his claws stuck in my shirt. Oh.
Too excited.
You can just calm down. See, Alvin has no chill. If this was Theo, he would sit and like have chill, but Alvin has no chill. So
yeah, Alvin is I don't know, too excited. Is Alvin is always kind of like this, right? Like there's not a chill moment.
No, this is just his natural default state. He's never
unless
fully
Alvin's
relaxed.
like asleep. That's about the only chill.
You gotta not thing the mic. You can stay, but you gotta not thing the mic. That's fine. There you go. Oh gosh,
yeah, I love it. Chemdog said I was a major stutterer and had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. Oh, well, there you go. Now we know the mystery. That is a thing that happens in here.
Yes.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
Wrapped around the neck is more common than you'd think.
It is. It is very common. So ChemDog, would you say that, do you think you gel with Uncanny X-Men with these new kids a little bit more because of that? Or nah? Is it just a thing you observed? Lummox said, is that a badger? Okay, that's also up there. Is that a badger? Oh my goodness. I love the idea that you're imagining that.
I just have all like the, they just have these pets, you know, I have a ducks, badgers, you know?
Just normal pets. Yeah.
There you go.
ChemDog
is saying, I just thought it was interesting.
You just thought it was, yeah, it is interesting. Are you, what about, okay, so we've talked about kind of our idea of top comics a little bit. Well, we did. We didn't really give them away, though. We were very smart. We said, we might do that. And we have thoughts. And then we said, nothing else, so that people will watch that video.
Yeah, like, I feel like I could get it. What number do you think you could get it down to? Like, what do you think? Like, you're like, I'm streaming my top blank. Like, what do you think you could get it down to?
Top comics of the year, maybe 6.
Ooh, that's a tight list.
Yeah, maybe 6. I don't know, though. There's a lot of good ones this year. Might have to be longer. Maybe 6 with like a couple honorable mentions. I think would be reasonable. I'm trying to do them as like kind of like my top. Like,
what would your criteria be? Because like I feel like it would turn to like a whole show. It's like, these are the top complete, these are the top ongoing, these are the top this, these are the top that. Like, I feel like I keep adding categories. You know,
that's where it's hard, because it's like, that's the thing that I think ultimately I find challenging about even making the list, and that I find intimidating, is it's like, well, like, what's the criteria, you know?
Yes. And then I feel like I'm over.
And then is it like you said, is it we read it in the year, or is it that it came out this year? And then if you read it in the year, but it's also one of your favorites, then do you have a separate list that's like, these are just the ones I read this year that weren't from
that
this
I like,
year. These
but
are the
they're
ones
not from this year.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think we just, you know what though? I think we just say all parameters out the window. I think that's
because then I feel like I'm taking it too seriously. I'm like, I'm making it more I'm overcomplicating it.
I'm overcomplicating
I'm the
it.
problem.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. And we could just say, you know, it's just whatever we like the most that we read this year. I was also thinking, like, I've also read some books this year, but then I was like, I feel like books has to be its own thing, because it is kind of a different medium, even though it's like a different subcategory, I guess, of the medium.
Like, it activates different things. Like, they're both reading, but they activate different like parts of the brain. You have to like think differently, you know.
Yeah, because one has visuals and one doesn't have any visuals, and that is a very different experience for reading. And then I've also been listening to a lot of audiobooks, and I'm like, do audiobooks go on their own list, or do I just count them as books? I guess I could count them as books with the caveat of just saying, this one I listened to it, and here's my like opinion of it, like audibly.
Well, like, because here's the thing, because there's a difference there too, because there's performances, because there are certain books that I actually have like multiple forms of, where it's like, I'll have the book, I'll have the audiobook, and I'll have the comic. Like, there are a couple where I have like all 3 of them.
Lummox, I actually can't do a top 10, but thank you.
Yeah, it's got to be 9 or 11.
So. Yeah, it's got to be not 10, actually. I can't do a top 10. I can't do a top 10 for reasons. But yeah, that would be pretty funny. Yeah, it'll probably just be like a top whatever, honestly. Whatever feels like a reasonable amount of time, because you guys know me, I love to talk. I love to talk to the point that sometimes I give people my raws for my videos, and they're like,
how long,
please?
Times?
Well, you've seen the length of my videos on my channel. I feel like that longer than that. Like, what's the longest video I've ever done?
Yeah, what's your longest recording time? Like, you're done, you're like, oh my God.
I think I went like close to 40 one time. Like, I think I did like a 38-minute video or something. I think might be the longest.
Well, Otto's saying your 17-hour stream should be what?
My 17-hour stream was pretty long. It was a recording, so it does count. It was not edited though. So fortunately, I didn't have to hand that over to an editor and go, here's a 17-hour stream, please
make it good.
Make it good. Make it a really engaging 15-minute video, please. Chris, thank you for the guide, the raid. I don't know if I can actually guide the raid today, so I'll probably refund you because I don't know. We'll see. I might be able to from Twitch because I have Twitch open at the end of stream. And so yes, if Nick is on, I will do that. Amanda, lives are long. Says Lois. Not always. Sometimes I do like 2.5 hour lives, but I do like to try to do around 6 hours when I'm streaming on my channel. Which some people come in and they're like, "You're still here. This is crazy." And I'm like, "This is my work day, so yes, I'm still here." Although, you know, my work day is also my work life. I don't. It doesn't really stop. It doesn't really stop. It stops when I'm like, I need to like clean my home or myself, and then I'm like, or I need to eat food. Unless it's food that is Mr. Beast chocolate, because I'm turning that into
Then you
content,
gotta
baby.
make a short out of that.
Yeah. If there's a way that I could turn all my food into content, I probably would. Honestly, I
mean, there are people that do.
Yeah, I could do a food. I would love to do a food channel. Actually, is there like a channel that you would love to do that is not related to anything that we are talking about here today? That you would just like love to do this weird whatever you want to do, or not weird? It might be weird. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I do. Like, there's totally something that I would do that has nothing to do with anything I've done,
What
like
is it?
at all. ASMR nail painting channel. What about you?
That would be so good. I definitely want to do, I mean, I have done ASMR on my channel and I want to do more ASMR. And weirdly, like the last few weeks, there's actually been a few people that have like messaged me to be like, "I really love your ASMR content. Like, are you going to do more ASMR?" And I'm like, yes, I would love to actually. I love ASMR. But yeah, food channel would be really fun. I would really love to just like review food and like go around and eat food. And I feel like it would be really fun to do with Duck because Duck is like really into cooking. So he has like just a different palate. And then I don't know what I would provide, but I really love desserts. And I really love baking. So I do have some kind of palate, and hopefully I would be, I guess, funny. I guess that's what I'd hope.
You would be the
to really bring.
taster.
Yeah, I would be like trying it, and I'd be like making all the faces. Like, I think that's where I really shine, is my reactions to things. So I could just give you some probably really crazy faces when I'm eating stuff that's really good, because I am a person that when I eat food, I'm like, oh my god. I make a lot of faces. Dark Horse is asking, Casually Comics, what's your thoughts on the Watchmen comic?
I have a lot of thoughts on the Watchmen. I do. It's one of those things I've talked about before on various videos and on stream, where the only reason I haven't talked about it is because I feel like everybody has, you know, really talked about it. So I'd want to make sure that I'm actually bringing something different to the conversation. I'm like, really, I probably don't need to do that. But like, for me to feel that it would be a video that would be worth, you know, people's time, that's something I would want to do. But in general, if you're just asking my general thoughts, it is a work that I like. And like, I personally like it. And I also think that it's historically significant and important. So I think that it's worth reading on like that level as well. Ben Chan, thank you very much. You should review Hush 2 as an ASMR video. Oh, that would be so relevant. It would work so well.
I love that. So
like, just start off like, shh.
Yo, are people ever doing, like, I've seen people do the magazines and stuff, and I'm like, you could definitely do all that with comics, like ASMR comic content. And there's a lot of fun, like, things to, like, there's a lot of fun sounds with comics that you could just make with the comic itself. But, like, where are the people out there that are doing our ASMR comic reviews? And if that's not happening yet, is that a void that needs to be filled? Because
it might be. Like, you might be kind of like coming up with a void of, like, just opening them. Like, not just nothing else. Because I've seen, okay, there's this channel, and I've watched it too. So, like, clearly I'm contributing to it, where it's like the girl just opens makeup and she doesn't put it on or anything. She just opens it.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just opening. It's opening, and then sometimes she swipes it. And it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, there's a few channels that I watch that just basically like showcase the product, like open up the boxes and like show it off in its ASMR.
Yeah,
it's really satisfying.
It is. I mean,
but
it's
the only problem is it makes me
a
want to buy
commercial.
makeup.
That's because that's what it is. It's a commercial.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it is a, but it's also great because I'm like, it's such good content, but it's also a commercial. So it's like great sponsored content for you. But then it's also really satisfying for viewers to watch. But then also they're probably going to want to buy the product.
Because the only problem is it's not always disclosed. So it's just, you know.
Oh, yeah. All the people that I watch disclose it. So
Mhm.
they're always like, this is sponsored, or I was gifted this, or whatever. Which I think is important to do.
Because it's really important because
It
like I've already had to
is.
explain to like my kids already when they talk about like, oh, they have like so many, like for Let's Players, like they play so many games. I'm like, that's their job. Like, I'm like, it's not just that they're, like, I'm like, that's actually a job that you can do. It's not just like, oh, they bought all these games like for fun,
Yeah. It's like they do it because that's how they like are able to live their life. They play games to live their life. So that's
But I'm like, it's important to help combat the idea of like FOMO or something. Like, no, it's not like that. It's not like they're just going out and buying a bunch of games.
They're at like another, that's
it's a different thing.
There's a lot of things that we do even that people will be like, that's so crazy that you like have. And I'm like, well, I mean, it is kind of like my whole like job and identity. So like, I definitely do it more than I think. If I wasn't working, I don't know if I would do it to the same level sometimes because I can like justify it more. I'm like, well, I need this thing for work.
Work.
So
also, ChemDog, that's great. ASMR, I just can't hear it.
It's too quiet. It's too quiet. I feel like maybe you gotta, I don't know, maybe you gotta turn it up. It is very quiet.
Any Hush 2 review would have to be really quiet. You have to whisper the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, then he came back to kill Bruce. Again.
But you have to like get things for it. Like you have to like
ooh,
have,
you would need
like,
cloth.
props. You need,
yes,
like,
you would need to have like the cloth that you could like unspool and like stuff like that for his face. Ooh, you'd have to get like little cutouts because he has got like little cutouts going. You'd have to get like little cutouts, the characters you could like tap and stuff.
Yeah.
Why is this forming in my mind? No.
This is the whole thing. Okay. This is a great side project idea. This could be a whole other channel. Honestly. Oh my goodness.
That's what the preview should have been. Forget the backup story. It should have just been like, because in the backup story, he had little cutouts of the characters that he was like holding up and stuff. I'm like, that it should have just been shorts of like some mysterious person holding up the cutouts and like tapping them. Millions of views. There we go.
And then it cuts away and it's just us doing comic ASMR.
Then you just go, shh. And then the title comes up.
Hush, too. Oh my goodness.
No one understands it. Great marketing.
We've got a great idea for how to promo this. DC, if you want to call us,
it's
you know
too
where to
late.
find us. Yeah, don't take this idea for free. Call us and let us do it for free, but work with us.
Send us the cutouts. That's the way. We just need the cutouts.
We just need the cutouts. We'll do the rest.
Like, I just don't want to make the effort of making the cutouts. So.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that either. It sounds like a lot of work. I like finding things when I do ASMR. I like finding like just things that sound good. But then, you have to be that weird person in a store where you just like go up to things and tap them and stuff, which is weird to do. And I never feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah. And A55, thank you very much. I don't know if you're interested or check them, but I sent a Wimmy idea in your email, old panels and reader response columns. I will check that out. Sometimes I just miss things in my email. So if somebody emails me and I don't reply, sometimes I missed it. It got sent to spam. It's not just like, oh, I don't deign to look at that. It's just there's a lot of emails, but thank you. Now that I know it's there, I can go and look for it.
I definitely feel that. I get a lot of emails and then I miss so many things. I've missed things that are like crucial to my life, actually, that are emails in my inbox that I was like, oh, was that when that was happening? And someone's like, you didn't see the email about this? And I'm like, oh no. The email? Lummick says, should they do a silent issue for Hush like G.I. Joe did for Snake Eyes? Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But have they done that though? I thought
for Hush,
something like that.
Not in the ones I've not in my collection of Hushes. It's always way more extravagant. The last one I read was Detective Comics, where he kidnapped the Bat family and was draining them of like their blood so he could like sell their organs on the black market because he's a surgeon.
Yeah. That one. Oh, I've forgotten about that.
Yeah, you see, there are a lot.
I was thinking of did they do that in Tales
X-Men.
from the Dark Multiverse?
Oh, I was just thinking about the X-Men silent issues where they
Oh.
do it like in the mind, the Grant Morrison one, and
Oh,
then the homage one, like
and then the Jean Grey and Emma
yeah.
Frost one.
Hmm.
I really liked that issue. That's still
I
one
did
of my
too.
favorite issues, like of the Krakoan era. I think I
No, that was
really
a
love
really
that issue.
nice like callback issue.
Yeah. I just love showing the power of like visual storytelling
Hmm.
in a visual medium and being like you don't need words to tell the
Well,
story.
how much it really is driving it, how much paneling and placement is really important, how much it draws
Yeah.
your eyes to the next,
You can
moment.
write something without having like dialogue and still be writing a story.
Hmm.
And it also just really shows you like how much the art is such a big part of it as well. So
Do
it's
you
really cool.
disagree, Alvin?
I
All
don't
things
know,
should be
like
loud.
all things should be loud. Alvin's like, if you're not talking in a comic, is it really storytelling? I don't know. Uh Silent Interlude is one of your all-time favorite comics. Is that a silent comic?
Oof, Alvin.
Um
He did it again. He unplugged my mic. We've managed to go into the next day though again.
we did. It is what we do here when we chat. We chat late into the night. Yeah, we should probably go to bed.
Yes.
That's
But
always a good
thank you
choice.
everybody for joining and chatting random things. I'm gonna hopefully manage to do the outro before Alvin knocks my mic out like for good.
He's really trying. He's like, challenge accepted.
But yeah, so and we'll be back talking about something at some point.
Something we really should do. I really want to do Wonder Woman Historia, but also maybe we'll do some Batman. Maybe we could find a way to do some reaction vids.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure out something that we're gonna do. So stay tuned because
Yes,
there'll be more. We don't know what it is yet, but
but we'll figure it out. Ow. Okay, okay.
okay, we're going.
All
Jeez.
right. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Wait, before we go, let me send this raid if it's
Yes.
working. Don't get mauled.
I'll try. Oh my goodness. Let me know
I
when she
think
sent it.
I think it's working. Hold on, let me send it. Over on the
Okay.
Twitch side. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you again really soon.
All
Stay
right.
nerdy, my friends.
Bye.
And goodbye.